Welcome to Half Girlfriend. Prologue. They are your journals, you read them, I said to him. He shook his head. Listen, I don't have the time or patience for this, I said, getting irritated. Being a writer on a book tour doesn't allow for much sleep. I had not slept more than 4 hours a night for a week. I checked my watch. It's midnight. I gave you my view. It's time for me to sleep now. I want you on to read them, he said. We were in my room at the Chanakya Hotel Patna. This morning, he had tried to stop me on my way out. Then he had waited for me all day. I had returned late at night to find him sitting in the hotel lobby. Just give me 5 minutes, sir, he had said, following me into the lift. And now here we were in my room as he pulled out 3 tattered notebooks from his backpack. The spines of the notebooks came apart as he plonked them on the table. The yellowing pages fanned out between us. The pages had handwritten text, mostly illegible as the ink had smudged. Many pages had holes, rats having snacked on them. An aspiring writer, I thought. If this is a manuscript, please submit it to a publisher. However, do not send it in this state, I said. I am not a writer. This is not a book. It's not. I said, lightly touching a crumbling page. I looked up at him. Even seated, he was tall. Over 6 feet in height, he had a sunburnt, outdoor ruggedness about him. Black hair, black eyes and a particularly intense gaze. He wore a shirt 2 sizes too big for his lean frame. He had large hands. He reassembled the notebooks, gentle with his fingers, almost caressing the pages. What are these? I said. I had a friend. These are her journals, he said. Her journals? Ah. A girlfriend. Half girlfriend what? He shrugged. Listen, have you eaten anything all day? I said. He shook Iris' head. I looked around. A bowl of fruit and some chocolates sat next to my bed. He took a piece of dark chocolate when I offered it. So what do you want from me? I said. I want you to read these journals, whatever is readable, because I can't. I looked at him, surprised. You can't read? As in, you can't read in general? Or you can't read these? These? Why not? I said, reaching for a chocolate myself. Because Ria's dead. My hand froze in midair. You cannot pick up a chocolate when someone has just mentioned a death. Did you just say the girl who wrote these journals is dead? He nodded. I took a few deep breaths and wondered what to say next. Why are they in such terrible shape? I said after a pause. They are old. Her ex-landlord found them after years. Sorry, mister, what's your name? Can I order some food first? I picked up the phone in the room and ordered 2 club sandwiches from the limited midnight menu. I'm Madhav. Madhav Joe. I live in Dumron, 80 kilometers from here. What do you do? I run a school there. Oh, that's, I paused, searching for the right word. Noble. Not really. It's my mother's school. I was going to say that's unusual. You speak English. Not typical of someone who runs a school in the back of beyond. My English is still bad. I have a Bihari accent, he said, without a trace of self-consciousness. French people have a French accent when they speak English. My English wasn't even English until he trailed off and fell silent. I saw him swallow to keep his composure. Until he absently stroked the notebooks on the desk. Nothing. Actually, I went to St. Stephen's. In Delhi. Yes. English types call it Stevens. I smiled. And you are not one of the English types? Not at all. The doorbell startled us. The waiter shifted the journals to put the sandwich tray on the table. A few sheets fell to the floor. Careful. Madhav shouted, as if the waiter had broken some antique crystal. The waiter apologized and scooted out of the room. I offered Madhav the club sandwich, which had a tomato, cheese and lettuce filling. He ignored me and rearranged the loose sheets of paper. Are you okay? Please eat. He nodded, his eyes still on the pages of the journal. I decided to eat, since my imposed guest didn't seem to care for my hospitality. These journals obviously mean a lot to you. But why have you brought them here? For you to read. Maybe they will be useful to you. How will they be useful to me? I said, my voice firmer with the food inside me. A part of me wanted him out of my room as soon as possible. She used to like your books. We used to read them together, he said in a soft voice for me to learn English. Madhav, I said, as calmly as possible, this seems like a sensitive matter, one don't want to get involved. Okay. His gaze remained directed at the floor. I don't want the journals either, he said after a while. That is for you to decide. It's too painful for me, he said. I can imagine. He stood up, presumably to leave. He had not touched his sandwich, which was okay, because I could eat it after he left. Thank you for your time. Sorry to have disturbed you. It's okay, I said. He scribbled his phone number on a piece of paper and kept it on the table. If you are ever in Dumron and need anything, let me know. It's unlikely you will ever come, but still. He stood up, instantly dwarfing me, and walked to the door. Madhav, I called out after him, you forgot the journals. Please take them with you. I told you I don't need them. So why are you leaving them here? Because I can't throw them away. You can. Before I could answer, he stepped out, shut the door and left. It took me a few seconds to realize what had happened. I picked up the journals and ran out of the room, but the soul-working lift had just gone down. I could have taken the stairs and caught him in time, but, after a long day, I didn't have the energy to do that. I came back to my room, irritated by his audacity. Dumping the notebooks and the slip with his phone number in the dustbin, I sat on the bed, a little unsettled. I can't let someone I just met get the better of me, I thought, shaking my head. I switched off the lights and lay down. I had to catch an early morning flight to Mumbai the next day and had a 4-hour window of sleep. I couldn't wait to reach home. However, I couldn't stop thinking about my encounter with the mysterious Madhav. Who was this guy? The words Dumron, Stevens and Delhi floated around in my head. Questions popped up. What the hell is a half-girlfriend? And why do LL have a dead girl's journals in my room? Eyes wide open, LL lay in bed, staring at the little flashing red light from the smoke detector on the ceiling. The journals bothered me. Sure, they lay in the dustbin. However, something about those torn pages, the dead person and her half-boyfriend, or whoever he was, intrigued me. Don't go there, I thought, but my mind screamed down its own suggestion, read just one page. Don't even think about it, I said out loud. But 30 minutes later, I switched on the lights in my room, fished out the journals from the dustbin and opened the first volume. Most pages were too damaged to read. I tried to make sense of what I could. The first page dated back 9 years to the 1st of November, 2002. Ria had written about her 15th birthday. One mere page, I kept thinking. I flipped through the pages as I tried to find another readable one. Read one more section, and then another. 3 hours later, I had read whatever could be read in the entire set. The room phone rang at 5 a.m., startling me. Your wake-up call, sir, the hotel operator said. I am awake, thank you, I said, as I'd never slept at all. I called Jet Airways. I'd like to cancel a ticket on the Patna-Mumbai flight this morning. Pulling out the slip of paper with Madhav's number from the dustbin, I texted him, we need to talk. Important. At 6:30 a.m., the tall, lanky man was in my room once more. Make tea for both of us. The kettle is above the minibar. He followed my instructions. The early morning sun highlighted his sharp features. He handed me a cup of tea and took a seat diagonally opposite me on the double bed. Should I speak first, or will you? I said. About Ria. He sighed. Do you think you knew her well? Yes, he said. You feel comfortable talking about her to me? He thought for a few seconds and nodded. So tell me everything. Tell me the story of Madhav and Ria. A story that fate left incomplete, he said. Fate can be strange indeed. Where do I start? When we first met. Always a good place, I said. Act I. Delhi. 1. Where? I gasped, trying to catch my breath. I had 2 minutes left for my interview to start and I couldn't add the room. Lost, I stopped whoever I could in the confusing corridors of St. Stephen's College to ask for directions. Most students ignored me. Many sniggered. I wondered why. Well, now I know. My accent. Back in 2004, my English was Bihari. I don't want to talk now like I did back then. It's embarrassing. It wasn't English. It was 90% Bihari Hindi mixed with 10% really bad English. For instance, this is what I had actually said, Kumti room, bat, aiga zara. Hamara interview hi na wayhan. Miracle ka kota hi. Kista raf hi. If I start speaking the way I did in those days, you'll get a headache. So I'm going to say everything in English. Just imagine my words in Bhojpuri-laced Hindi, with the worst possible English thrown in. Where you from, man? Said a boy with hair longer than most girls. Me Madhavja from Dumron, Bihar. His friends laughed. Over time, I learned that people often ask what they call a rhetorical question, something they ask just to make a point, not expecting an answer. Here, the point was to demonstrate that I was an alien amongst them. What are you interviewing for? Peon, the long-haired boy said and laughed. I didn't know enough English back then to be offended. Also, I was in a hurry. You know where it is? I said instead, looking at his group of friends. They all seemed to be the rich, English types. Another boy, short and fat, seemed to take pity on me and replied, take a left at the corner of the main red building and you'll find a sign for the committee room. Thank you, I said. This I knew how to say in English. Can you read the sign in English? The boy with the long hair said. His friends told him to leave me alone. I followed the fat boy's instructions and ran towards the red building. I faced the first interview of my life. 3 old men sat in front of me. They looked like they had not smiled since their hair had turned grey. I had learned about wishing people before an interview. I had even practiced it. Good morning, sir. There are a few of us here, said the man in the middle. He seemed to be around 55 years old and wore square, black-rimmed glasses and a checked jacket. Good morning, sir, and sir, I said. They smiled. I didn't think it was a good smile. It was the high-class to low-class smile. The smile of superiority, the smile of delight that they knew English and I didn't. Of course, I had no choice but to smile back. The man in the middle was Professor Pereira, the head of sociology, the course I had applied for. Professor Fernandez, who taught physics, and Professor Gupta, whose subject was English, sat on his left and right respectively. Sports quota, A. Professor Pereira said. Why isn't Yadav here? I'm here, sir, a voice called out from behind me. I turned around to see a man in a tracksuit standing at the door. He looked too old to be a student but too young to be faculty. This one is 85% your decision, Professor Pereira said. No way, sir. You are the final authority. He sat down next to the professors. Piyush Yadav was the sports coach for the college and sat in on all sports quota interviews. He seemed simpler and friendlier than the professors. He didn't have a fancy accent either. Basketball? Professor Fernandez asked, scanning through my file. Yes, sir, I said. What level? State. Do you speak in full sentences? Professor Gupta said in a firm voice. I didn't fully understand his question. I kept quiet. Do you? He asked again. Yes, I said, my voice like a convict's. So, why do you want to study at St. Stephen's? A few seconds of silence followed. The 4 men in the room looked at me. The professor had asked me a standard question. I want good college, I said, after constructing the sentence in my head. Professor Gupta smirked. That is some response. And why is St. Stephen's a good college? I switched to Hindi. Answering in English would require pauses and make me come across as stupid. Maybe I was stupid, but I did not want them to know that. Your college has a big name. It is famous in Bihar also, I said. Can you please answer in English? Professor Gupta said. Why? You don't know Hindi. I said in reflex, and in Hindi. I saw my blunder in their horrified faces. I had not said it in defiance. I really wanted to know why they had to interview me in English when I was more comfortable in Hindi. Of course, I didn't know then that Stephen's professors didn't like being asked to speak in Hindi. Professor Pereira, how did this candidate get an interview? Professor Gupta said. Professor Pereira seemed to be the kindest of the lot. He turned to me. We prefer English as the medium of instruction in our college, that's all. Without English, I felt naked. I started thinking about my return trip to Bihar. I didn't belong here, these English-speaking monsters would eat me alive. I was wondering what would be the best way to take their leave when Piyush Yadav broke my chain of thought. Bihar se ho. Are you from Bihar? He said. The few words in Hindi felt like cold drops of rain on a scorching summer's day. I loved Piyush Yadav in that instant. Yes, sir. Dumron. I know. 3 hours from Patna, right, he said. You know Dumron. I said. I could have kissed his feet. The 3 English-speaking monsters continued to stare. I'm from Patna. Anyway, tell them about your achievements in basketball, Piyush said. I nodded. He sensed my nervousness and spoke again. Take your time. I am Hindi medium, too. I know the feeling. The three professors looked at Piyush as if wondering how he had ever managed to get a job at the college. I composed myself and spoke my rehearsed lines. Sir, I have played state-level basketball for 6 years. Last year, I was in the waiting list for the BFI national team. BFI, said Professor Gupta. Basketball Federation of India. Piyush answered for me, even though I knew the answer. And you want to do sociology? Why? Professor Fernandez said. It's an easy course, no need to study. Is that it? Professor Gupta remarked. I didn't know whether Gupta had something against me, was generally grumpy or suffered from constipation. I am from rural area. I am from a rural area, Gupta said, emphasizing the as if admitting it was a criminal offense. Hindi, sir. Can I explain in Hindi? Nobody answered. I had little choice. I took my chances and responded in my language. My mother runs a school and works with the villagers. I wanted to learn more about our society. Why are our villages so backward? Why do we have so many differences based on caste and religion? I thought I could find some answers in this course. Professor Gupta understood me perfectly well. However, he was what English-speaking people would call an uptight prick. He asked Piyush to translate what I had said. That's a good reason, Professor Pereira said once Piyush was done. But now you are in Delhi. If you pass out of Stevens, you will get jobs in big companies. Will you go back to your native place? His concern seemed genuine. It took me a few seconds to understand his question. Piyush offered to translate, but I gestured for him not to. I will, sir, I finally replied. I didn't give a reason. I didn't feel the need to tell them I would go back because my mother was alone there. I didn't say we were from the royal family of Dhanron. Even though there was nothing royal about us anymore, we belonged there. And, of course, I didn't mention the fact that I couldn't stand any of the people I had met in this city so far. We'll ask you something about Bihar then. Professor Fernandez said. Sure. What's the population of Bihar? 10 crores. Who runs the government in Bihar? Right now it's Lalu Prasad's party. And which party is that? RJD, Rashtriya Janata Dal. The questions kept coming, and after a while I couldn't keep track of who was asking what. While I understood their English, I couldn't answer in complete sentences. Hence, I gave the shortest answers possible. But one question had me stumped. Why is Bihar so backward? Professor Gupta said. I didn't know the answer, forget saying it in English. Piyush tried to speak on my behalf. Sir, that's a question nobody can really answer. But Professor Gupta raised a hand. You said your mother runs a rural school. You should know Bihar. I kept quiet. It's okay. Answer in Hindi, Professor Pereira said. Backward compared to what, sir? I said in Hindi, looking at Professor Gupta. Compared to the rest of India. India is pretty backward, I said. One of the poorest nations in the world. Sure. But why is Bihar the poorest of the poor? Bad government, Piyush said, almost as a reflex. Professor Gupta kept his eyes on me. It's mostly rural, sir, I said. People don't have any exposure to modernity and hold on to backward values. There's poor education. Nobody invests in my state. The government is in bed with criminals and together they exploit the state and its people. Professor Pereira translated my answer for Professor Gupta. He nodded as he heard it. Your answers are sensible, but your English is terrible, he said. Would you rather take a sensible student, or someone who speaks a foreign language well? My defiance stumped them all. Professor Fernandez wiped his glasses as he spoke, turning his head towards me. English is no longer a foreign language, Mr. Joe. It's a global language. One suggests you learn it. That's why I'm here, sir, one said. My answers came from the heart, but I didn't know if they had any effect on the professors. The interview was over. They asked me to leave the room. I stood in the corridor, figuring out where to go next. Piyush came out of the committee room. His lean and fit frame made him look like a student. Despite him being much older. He spoke to me in Hindi. Your sports trial is in 1 hour. See me on the basketball court. Sir, is there even a point? That interview went horribly. You couldn't learn some English, along with basketball. Nobody speaks it in our area. I paused and added, sir. He patted my back. Get out of by-harm mode, son. Anyway, sports quota trials are worth 85%. Play well. I'll do my best, sir. 2. If she weren't tall I wouldn't have noticed her. It is funny how her height shaped my life. If she had been 4 inches shorter, my eyes may never have met hers and everything would have been different. If I had not been bored and arrived at the basketball court an hour earlier, it would have been different. If someone had not missed a pass and the ball had not come out of the court and hit me on the head, I would have had a different life. Tiny bumps in time shape our lives, even though we spend hours trying to make long-term plans. I had no plan to meet the love of my life on a basketball court. I was there only to kill time and because I had nowhere else to go. A small crowd of students, mostly men, had gathered around the Stevens basketball court. Girls' sports trials always garnered an audience, there was no better excuse to check them out. Everyone spoke in English. I didn't speak at all. I straightened my back and stared at the court with a sense of purpose, mainly to come across as if I belonged there. As 10 girls came onto the court, the crowd cheered. 5 of the girls belonged to the existing college team, the other 5 had applied for admission under the sports quota. Piyush came to the center of the court, ball in hand and whistle in mouth. As he blew it, the girls sprang into action. 5 feet, 9 inches is tall for an Indian girl. It is tall even for a girl in a basketball team. Her long neck, long arms and long legs held every guy's attention. She was a part of the sports quota applicants. Team. She wore black fitted shorts and a sleeveless sports vest with R printed in yellow at the back. She collected the ball within seconds. She wore expensive Nike ankle-length sneakers, the kind I had seen NBA players wear on TV. Her diamond earrings twinkled in the sun. She dribbled the ball with her right hand. I noticed she had long, beautiful fingers. 10 points for looks, coach. A senior student called out as I passed the ball. The crowd tittered. Well, the men did. The wisecrack distracted her for a moment, but she resumed her game as if she was used to such comments. The sports quota girls played well individually. However, they didn't play well as a team. I dribbled the ball and reached the opposition's basket. 3 opponents surrounded her. I passed the ball to her teammate, who missed the pass. What the? I screamed. Too late. The rival team took the ball, passed it to the other end and scored a basket. I cursed herself, inaudible to anyone else. She then signaled to 3 of her teammates to cover specific opponents and jogged across the court. When she went past me, I saw her sweaty, flushed face from up close. We made eye contact for nanoseconds, perhaps only in my imagination. But in those nanoseconds something happened to my heart. No, I wouldn't say I fell in love with her. I wouldn't even say I felt attracted to her. But I felt something deep inside, strong enough for my heart to say, you have to talk to this girl at least once in your life. Babes, cover her. I said cover. I screamed. Her state of mind was as far from mine as possible. She passed the ball to her teammate, who missed scoring a basket again. What are you guys doing? She shouted in perfect English. I felt nervous. How would I ever speak to her? Her face was grimy, dust sticking to her left cheek and forehead. Yet, it was one of the most beautiful faces I had seen in my entire life. Sometimes it is hard to explain why you find a person beautiful. Was it her narrow face, perfectly in line with her slender body? Was it her flawless skin and complexion, which had turned from cream to pink to red? Or was it not about her looks at all? Was it her passion, her being totally immersed in the game? I didn't know. Of course, I never actually thought it would lead to anything. She seemed too posh to even give me a second glance. Destiny, however, had other plans. For why else, in the 7th minute of the first half, would the college team captain overthrow the ball outside the court, where it hit my head as I stood on the sidelines? Why would I grab the ball in reflex? More than anything, why would I come to collect it? Ball, please, she said, panting. I felt paralyzed. I said ball, please, she said. I held on to the ball for an extra half second. I wanted to look at her a bit longer. I wanted to take a snapshot of her sweaty face and store it in my mind's camera for life. I threw the ball at her. She caught it with ease and looked at me. She could tell from my throw that I knew the game. Change your point, shooter, I said. For some reason, I had managed to speak in correct English this time. What? She said. She surveyed me from top to bottom. I now wished I had worn better clothes. I had not changed out of my interview shirt and pants, both of which the tailor back home had stitched too loose for me. I looked out of place on the basketball court. With my folder of certificates, I resembled a hero from those Hindi films of the 70s, the one who could not find a job. I have a Bihar State team t-shirt, I wanted to tell her. Of course, in the middle of a game, and as a first conversation, this was a terrible idea. Your shooter is useless, I said. The referee whistled to commence the game. She turned away and forgot about me faster than her throw reached her team member. Here, pass it to me, I shouted as she reached the opposition basket. Her point shooter held the ball and looked around, confused. I said here, I screamed so loudly that pigeons flew off the trees in the lawns. The point shooter passed the ball, I caught it and took a shot from well beyond the three-point line. Whoosh! The ball went through the basket. The crowd cheered. They already had a soft spot for her anyway. The referee announced a break at the 10-minute mark. The college team led 12-5. I huddled with her team, figuring out their strategy for the next half. As her team meeting ended, she wiped her face and neck with a towel. I couldn't take my eyes off her. I forgot I had my own trial in less than an hour. I only wanted to figure out a way to talk to her a bit more. Maybe I could tell her she played well. I wondered how to tell her about my state level game without coming across as a show-off. And, more than anything, how would I go beyond 5 words of English? She caught me staring. I wanted to kill myself. She continued to lean directly at me, the towel still around her neck. Then she walked up to me. A shiver ran down my spine. I didn't mean to stare, I wanted to tell her. I wondered if she would scream at me like she had done during the match. Flunks, I said. She had walked across the court, to thank me. She was breathing hard. My eyes were glued to hers. Look away, Madhav, I scolded myself and turned away. That was a good tip, she said to my left profile. Welcome. You are good, I said. Uttering each word was like hitting a brick. Any other suggestions for the second half? We're losing. Yes, I said, turning to face her again. I wanted to give her more up but couldn't in English. You speak Hindi, I said. She looked baffled. Nobody in St. Stephen's had ever asked anyone that question. Well, yeah, of course, she said. Okay, I said, and explained in my language they have 2 strong players. Cover them tight. Don't fix formations for your players. 2 of yours should move with them. You become the shooter. Of the other 2, one is your defense, the other supports you. The whistle blew again. Got to go, she said. Catch you later. I didn't understand what catch you meant. Did it mean she would catch what I had said later? Did it mean she didn't understand what I had said? Or did she mean she actually wanted to catch me? Like, she liked me so much she wanted to catch me. Of course, this seemed unlikely. But then I had given her good tips, and you never know with these modern people. You see, my mind has this overdrive switch, especially when it's excited. It starts to get ahead of itself and thinks useless thoughts when I could actually be doing something constructive, like watching the game or finding out that girl's name. The game restarted. The referee's whistle, the sound of the players' shoes as they run across the court, the shrieks, the yells and the cries of victory and defeat. Few things in life match the excitement of a sports court. Basketball, underrated as it might be in this country, packs it all in half an hour. I cannot understand why Indians don't play this game more. It doesn't take up too much space, doesn't need much equipment, and a big group can play it all at once. Yes, she screamed as she scored a basket. The hole went in without touching the ring, making the most beautiful sound in a basketball game, the soft ksick when only the net touches the ball. It dripped off her face as she ran back to her side of the court. The match ended 21-15. The newbies had lost, but still kept pace with the college team, a considerable achievement. However, seemed disappointed. She wiped her face with a towel and picked up her blue Nike kit bag. A few boys tried to make eye contact with her, but she ignored them. I wanted to speak to her. However, no boy from Dumron has ever had the guts to approach a high-class girl from Delhi. I wanted her to watch my game. There was nothing else I could impress her with. Coach Piyush went up to her. They became engrossed in a conversation. This was my chance. Under Connie, I didn't guys need a go-between to speak to a girl. I ran up to Piyush. My trial now. I change, sir, I said to him. Piyush turned to me, surprised. I don't know whether at my English or my stupid question or both. Iska layega. Trial Vahai Yomazak, he said in Bhojpuri, not even Hindi. He meant, will you play like this? Is it a trial or a joke? I regretted knowing him. I. Then R interrupted. Oh, you are also sports quota. Piyush looked at both of us, surprised at the familiarity. Yes, I said, one of the few English responses I could give with confidence. State level player. Watch this Bihari's game and go, Piyush said and guffawed before he left. I could have taken offense. He had used the word Bihari as if to say watch, even this poor little Bihari can play, despite being a Bihari himself. However, he had helped me without knowing it, so I was grateful. She looked at me and smiled. No wonder you gave those tips, she said. State level, my God. What is your good name? I blurted out, without any context or sense of timing. Also, who on earth says good name these days? Only losers like me who translate Shabnan in Hindi to English. Good or bad, only one name. Ria, she said and smiled. Ria. I loved her short little name. Or maybe when you start liking people, you start liking everything about them, from their sweaty eyebrows to their little names. Your name, she said. For the first time in my life a girl had asked my name. Myself, Madhavja. That was my reflexive response. It was only later that I learned that people who construct sentences like that sound low class. You see, we think in Hindi first and simply translate our thoughts, word for word. From Bihar, she said and laughed. Right. She didn't laugh because I was a Bihari. She laughed because Piyush had already revealed that fact about me. There was no judgment in her voice. I liked her more and more every second. Yes. You. From Delhi itself. I wanted to continue talking to her. I wanted to know her full name and her native place. That is how we introduce ourselves in Dumron. However, I didn't know how to ask her in English, the language one needed to impress girls. Plus, I had a selection trial in a few minutes. The coach blew his whistle. I have my trials now, will you watch? I said. Okay, she said. I ran, hopped, in excitement towards the changing room. Soon, I was back on court and Piyush started the game. I played well. I don't want to brag, but I played better than any player on the college team. Basket, I shouted as I scored my 5th shot. As the crowd dapped, I looked around. She was sitting on one of the benches, sipping water from a bottle. She clapped too. I had a good game, but her presence made me play even better. The score inched forward, I pushed myself harder and scored a few more baskets. When I took a tough shot, the seniors patted my back. Piyush blew the final whistle. Final score, 25-28. We had done it. The newbies had managed to defeat Die St. Stephen's team. My body was drenched in sweat. I felt drained and exhausted. Players patted my back as I struggled to catch my breath. Piyush came running up to me in the middle of the court. You scored 17 out of 28. Well done, Bihari, he said. He ruffled my sweaty hair. I walked out of the court deliberately towards Ria. Wow, you really are good, she said. Thanks, I said, still panting after the game. Anyway, I have to go, she said and extended her hand. Nice meeting you. Bye. Bye, I said, my heart sinking. My head had known it would end like this. My heart didn't want it to end. Unless we are both lucky, she added and grinned. And the higher powers here admit us. Who knows, I said. Yeah. But if they do, then see you. Else, bye. She walked away. I realized I didn't even know her full name. As she became more distant with every step, I wanted nothing more than to get admission to St. Stephen's. I walked up to Piyush. You cracked it. On fire on the court, ha, he said. Sir, but the interview. My English sucked, he said. Disappointment slammed into me. His expression suggested sucked meant something nasty. But you play bloody good basketball, Piyush continued. He patted my back and walked away. I stood alone in the middle of the basketball court. Everyone else had left. I saw the brick-colored buildings and the greenery around me. Is this place in my destiny? I wondered. Well, it wasn't just about my destiny. It was our destiny. That is why, 1 month later, a postman came to my doorstep in Dumron with a letter from St. Stephen's College. He also wanted a big tip. 3. Hey, she said. Her perky voice startled me. I had been scanning the college notice board. I turned around. I had prayed for this to happen. She and I had both made it. She wore black, skin-tight jeans and a black and white striped eyelet. Without the sweat and grime from court, her face glowed. She had translucent pink lip gloss on, with tiny glittery bits on her lips. Her hair, slightly wavy, came all the way down to her waist. Her long lingers looked delicate, hiding the power they had displayed on court. My heart was in my mouth. Ever since I had got my admission letter, I had been waiting for the month before college opened to pass quickly and to find out if Ria had made it too. Ria, she said. You remember, right? Did I remember? I wanted to tell her I had not forgotten her for one moment since I left Delhi. I wanted to tell her I had never seen a girl more beautiful than her. I wanted to tell her that the oxygen flow to my lungs had stopped. Of course, I said. Glad you joined. I wasn't sure, actually, she said and pointed to the notice board. Is that the first year timetable? I nodded. She smiled at me again. What's your course? She asked, her eyes on the notice board. Sociology, I said. Oh, intellectual, she said. I didn't know what that meant. However, she laughed and I guessed it was something funny, so I laughed along. The notice board also had a bunch of stapled sheets with the names of all first-year students and their new roll numbers. What about you? I said. I adjusted my yellow t-shirt and blue jeans while she looked at the board. I had bought new clothes from Patna 4th Street. Stevens. I didn't look like a government office clerk anymore. I wanted to fit into my new college. English, she said. Here, see, that's my name. Ria Samani, English, Hans, it said. My heart sank. A girl doing an English degree would never befriend a country bumpkin like me. Her phone rang. She took out the sleek Nokia instrument from her jeans pocket. Hi, Mom, she said in Hindi. Yes, I reached. Yes, all good, just finding my way. Her Hindi was music to my ears. So I could talk to her. She spoke for a minute more and hung up to find me looking at her. Moms, you know, she said. Yes. You speak Hindi? She laughed. You keep asking me that. Of course I do. Why? My English isn't good, I said, and switched languages. Can I talk to you in Hindi? What you say matters, not the language, she said and smiled. Some say there is an exact moment when you fall in love. I didn't know if it was true before, but I do now. This was it. When Ria Samani said that line, the world turned in slow motion. I noticed her delicate eyebrows. When she spoke, they moved slightly. They had the perfect length, thickness and width. She would win a best eyebrows competition hands down, or as we say in basketball, it would be a slam dunk. Perhaps I should have waited to fall in love with her. However, I knew it was pointless. I had little control over my feelings. So from my first day in college, I was in love. Ria Samani, ace basketball player, English literature student, most beautiful girl on the planet, owner of extraordinary eyebrows and speaker of wonderful lines, had yanked my heart out of its hiding place. Of course, I could not show it. I didn't have the courage, nor would it be a smart idea. We walked down a corridor towards our respective classrooms. I had her with me for 2 more minutes. You made friends here, she said. Not really, I said. You. I have some classmates from school in Stevens. Plus, I am from Delhi, so have many friends outside. I hope I can adjust, I said. I feel I don't belong here. Trust me, nobody feels they do, she said. Which residence did they give you? Rudra, I said. How about you? They don't give one to dull Hutes. I'm a day ski, unfortunately, she said, using the common term for day scholars. We reached my classroom. I pretended not to see it and kept walking until she reached hers. Oh, this is my class, she said. Where's yours? I'll find out, go ahead, I said. She smiled and waved goodbye. I wanted to ask her out for coffee, but couldn't. I could shoot a basket from half court 3 times in a RMV, but I could not ask a girl to come to the college cafeteria with me. Basketball, I blurted out. What? Want to play sometime? I recovered quickly. With you. You'll kick my ass, she said and laughed. I didn't know why she felt I would kick her rear end or why she found the phrase funny. I joined her in the laughter anyway. You play well, I said as we stood at her classroom door. Okay, maybe after a few days, once we settle into classes, she said. She walked in for her first English lecture. The joy at the possibility of meeting her again made me forget I had a class. I wanted to dance in the garden. The bell for the first period rang. This isn't sociology, right? I asked a clueless English student as he arrived late for his own class. Black Diamond, you are good. Really good, she said as she wiped her face with a towel. We had played a half-court game. I defeated her 20-9. I'm hopeless, she said. She took a sip from her water bottle. She wore a fitted sleeveless white top and purple shorts. You're fine. Just out of practice, I said. She finished the water and shook the empty bottle. I'm still thirsty, she said. Cafe. I said. She looked at me, somewhat surprised. I kept a straight face. You get good juice there, I said in an innocent tone. Black Diamond. A swarm of students buzzed inside the cafeteria. Given that it was lunch hour, it took us 5 minutes to get a table. They didn't have juice, so Ria settled for lemonade. I ordered a mince and cold coffee. I realized both of us had a problem initiating conversation. I couldn't talk because I didn't have the confidence. She, given a choice, preferred to be quiet. Silent Ria, I wanted to call her. I had to break this deadlock if I wanted this to go anywhere. The waiter brought us our food. In Bihar, we have aloo chop, in which we sometimes stuff keema. This mince is the same, I said. What's Bihar like? I've never been there, she said and pursed her lips around the straw to sip her lemonade. Not like Delhi. Simple. Lots of rice fields. Peaceful, apart from cities like Patna. I like peaceful places, she said. There are problems, too. People aren't educated. There's violence. I am sure you've heard. Poor and backward state, as people say. You can be rich and backward, too. We had an awkward silence for 2 minutes. Silent Ria and scared Madhav. Break the deadlock, I told myself. So you live with your family in Delhi? Yes. A big one. Parents, uncles, cousins and a brother. What do your parents do? I said. A boy should make more interesting conversation with a girl. But a loser like me had little experience or finesse in this regard. Family business. Real estate and infrastructure. You are rich, right? I said. Idiot Madhav. Couldn't think of anything better. She laughed at my direct question. Rich in money, or rich in mind? Two different things. Ha. Rich, like wealthy. Unfortunately, yes. What's unfortunate? Everyone wants to be rich. Yeah, I guess. It just embarrasses me. Plus, all the obsession with money and how it defines you, I just don't get it. I realized she and I came from different worlds. Perhaps it was a futile battle to pursue her. Logically, practically and rationally, it made no sense. Can I try your mince? She said. I'm hungry. I nodded. I asked the waiter to get another fork. However, before he could get one, she picked up mine and took a bite. She took my fork. Does it mean anything? Where's home for you? She said. One Imran. A small town, 3 hours from Patna. Nice, she said. You will probably find it boring. No, tell me more. As you can see, I'm not much of a talker. I like to listen, she said. She seemed genuinely interested. I told her about my life back home, revolving around my mother, her school and basketball. There wasn't much else. My father had passed away 10 years ago. He had left us a huge, crumbling Havli, a couple of fields and many legal cases related to property. We had some servants, who stayed in the Havli's servant quarters more out of loyalty than their paltry salaries. My ancestors were landlords and from the royal family of Ayu in Ron, the oldest princely state in British India. When India became independent, the government took away our family estate and left us with an annual pension that declined with every generation. My great-granduncles squandered their money, especially since they all felt they could gamble better than anyone else in the world. Several near bankruptcies later, the women of the house took charge as the men had all turned into alcoholics. Somehow, the women saved the family pride and the Havli. All of my cousins had moved abroad, and vowed never to return. My father, the only one to remain in Bihar, held the last title of Raja Sahib of Dumron. 10 years ago, he had succumbed to a cardiac arrest. My mother, Rani Saba Durgaja, was the only strong-willed person left in the family. She brought me up and maintained the few farms left. She also turned the Dumron Royal School, which taught 700 kids from nearby villages. The noise of air bubbles as Ria sucked up the last of her lemonade made me realize I had spoken non-stop for 10 minutes. I'm boring you, I said. I vowed to stay quiet for a few minutes. It had to be silent. Lia's turn. Net at all. I smiled. Now you speak. If you let me talk, I won't stop. Okay, but wait, technically you're a prince, aren't you? Or are you the king, Raja Sahib? I laughed. There are no kings and princes anymore, only uneducated villagers talk like that. But they do, right? Seriously, am I talking to a prince? Do they address you as prince? She widened her eyes, her award-winning eyebrows moved up and down a little. Sometimes they do. Listen, it's not important, we're not rich or anything asterisk. You live in a palace. Havli, it's like, well, a small palace. Anyway, I'm no prince, I'm a Bihari boy trying to graduate. Do I look like a prince from any angle? Come on, you are tall and handsome, you could be one, if you had seen jewelry, she said. She had said it in jest, but it was the first real compliment she had paid me. Little cupcakes of happiness exploded inside me. Did I, a commoner, just play basketball with the Raja Sahib of Dumron? She said and burst into laughter. I shouldn't have told you. I shook my head. Come on, she said and tapped my wrist. My arm went all warm and tinty. What about you? Which 18-year-old girl comes to college in a BMW and calls herself a commoner? Oh, you noticed. That's my dad's ear asterisk. You must be so rich. My family is. Not me. As she spoke, 3 girls arrived at our table. We've been looking for you everywhere, one of them said. Hey, girls, Ria said. Come, sit with us. Madhav. Meet Garima, Aisha and Rashita, friends from my class. Girls, this is Madhav, my basketball friend. I realized my place in her life. Basketball friend. Perhaps she had friends for specific purposes. The girls looked me up and down and up, checking me out. Not bad, Ria, Garima said and winked at her. The girls burst out laughing and sat down with us. Are you in the college team? Rashita asked me. She wore a red and black bandana on her head. I nodded, nervous at their bold familiarity. Madhav has played state level, Ria said and looked at me proudly. Wow, the girls said in unison. Would you like to order anything? I said. The 3 girls froze and then began to laugh. It dawned on me that they were laughing at me. My English had sounded like this. Would you like to order anything? I didn't know this was such a cardinal sin. What happened? I said. Not a thing, Garima said and stood up. Thanks, Madhav, we just ate lunch. Hey, Ria, let's catch up later. Yeah. The 3 girls left. We waved goodbyes. What happened, Ria? I said. They're ditzy. Forget them, she said. Ditzy. Silly and stupid. Anyway, I better leave too. My driver should be here. We walked out of the cafeteria to the main gate. Her dark blue BMW waited outside. So I'm your basketball friend? I said as we reached the well, that, and my lemonade and mince friend. How about tea friend? Sure. She stepped inside the car and sat down. She rolled down the window to say goodbye. Or a movie friend? What? Need to think about it. Think about what? Will the Royal Highness condemn me to death if I say no? I laughed. I might. See you later, Prince, she said. The car drove off. I didn't know if I was a real prince or not, but I had found my princess. 3 months later. Did you just put your hand on mine? She whispered, but loud enough for people around us in the movie theater to look our way. Accidentally, I said. Learning big English words, are we? She said. I'm trying. Mr. Madhavji, you have come to see a movie. Focus on that. I'm trying, I said again. I turned my attention back to Shah Rukh Khan. He had rejoined college and was singing Main Hoon Na to anyone in need of reassurance. We had come to the Odeon Cinema in Connaught Place. Ria had finally agreed to see a movie with me. She had lost a basketball bet. She had challenged me to score a basket from half court in 1 try. Now that will be a super shot, she had said. What do I get? A movie treat. You can't do it. I had given it a try and failed the first week. Half-court shots are tough. I couldn't do it in the next 2 weeks either. See, even destiny doesn't want us to go out, she had said. In the 4th week, I put in all the focus I had and made my shot. The ball hit the ring, circled around it twice and fell into the basket. Yes, I screamed. Even though she had lost the bet, she clapped. So, do I get a date? I said. It's not a date. We just go for a movie. Like friends. Isn't that what high-class people call a date? No. What's a date then? You want to see the movie with me or not? She had said, her hands on her hips. The hands on hips pose meant no further questions. In the 3 months I had known her, I knew she hated being pushed. I thought maybe that was how rich people were, somewhat private. We overdid the familiarity in our villages anyway. Now, as Shah Rukh Khan continued his song, I wondered what I meant to her. We met in college every day, and ended up having tea at least 3 times a week. I did most of the talking. I would tell her stories from the residences, or res, as the students called them, the fancy word for hostels in Stevens. I was in Rudra North, and told her tales of messy rooms, late-night carom matches and the respect we needed to show seniors. She listened intently, even smiled sometimes. When I asked her about her home, she didn't say much. Back in Dumron it is unthinkable for friends to not share every detail about themselves. High-class people have this concept called space, which means you cannot ask them questions or give them opinions about certain aspects of their life. Am I special to her? I kept asking myself. Sometimes I saw her chatting with other guys and felt insanely jealous. My insistence on seeing a movie together was to find out what Ria Samani really thought of Madhavji. I had held her hand to figure out where I stood. Given her reaction, nowhere. In fact, she removed her arm from the armrest for the rest of the movie. She seemed upset, even though she never said a word. She kept watching the film. Is everything okay? I said. She sipped her drink in silence. We had walked from Odeon to Kiventas, famous for its milkshakes sold in glass bottles. Aha, she said, indicating a yes. I hated this response of hers. We had finished 2/3 of our milkshakes without talking to each other. She looked straight ahead, lost in thought. I felt she would cry if poked. I'm sorry. What? She said, surprised. About placing my hand on yours, I said. I didn't want my stupid move to backfire. When? During the movie. You know, I don't even remember that, she said, interrupting me. Oh, I said, and felt a wave of relief run through me. Then why do you look upset? Never mind, she said. Silent Ria's typical response. She brushed huge strands of hair from her face. Why don't you ever tell me anything? I said, my voice a mixture of plea and protest. She finished her milkshake and placed the empty bottle on a table ready to go. She said instead. Ria, we never talk about you. Am I only good enough to play basketball with? What? We meet, play, eat and talk. But you never share anything important with me. I don't share much about my life with anyone, Madhav. Am I just anyone? A waiter arrived to collect the empty bottles. She spoke only after I left. You are a friend. So what? I have many friends. I don't share stuff with them. Am I just like every other friend of yours? Is there nothing special about me? She smiled. Well, you do play basketball better than anyone else. I stood up. I didn't find her funny. Hey, wait. Ria pulled me down again. I sat down with a stern expression. Why do you want to know about my life? She said. It matters to me. Unlike your other friends, I can tell if something is bothering you. And, if something is bothering you, it bothers me. I want to know things about you, okay? But getting you to talk is like a dentist pulling teeth. She laughed and interrupted my rant. I have a fucked up family. What do you want to know? She said. I looked at her, puzzled and astonished at her choice of words. More than anything, I could not associate any family with a BMW to be fucked up. Her eyes met mine, perhaps for a final check to see if I deserved her trust. Let's go for a walk, she said. Her plush car dropped us off at India Gate. The soft evening sun cast long shadows of the monument and of us on the red sandstone pavement. We walked the mile-long distance all the way up to Rashtrapati Bhavan. On these roads, far away from Bihar, India did not come across as a poor country. Pigeons flocked the sky and government babus from nearby offices scurried about, both trying to reach home before it got dark. We walked together. At least our shadows appeared to hold hands. I don't open up to people. At most I keep a journal, and even that is rare. You know I'm a quiet person, Ria said. I understand. Thanks. The problem is my family. They're obsessed with money. I'm not. That's a good thing, right? I don't know. Also, I don't matter. My brothers do, because they will take over the business one day. I'm supposed to shut up, get married and leave. The high point of my life is to have kids and shop. And that's not what you want to do. No, she almost shouted. You know me better than that. Don't you? Sorry. Sucks being a girl in this country, I tell you. Sucks. You seem upset. Did something happen today? I told them I want to study music after college. They want me to marry into some rich mayor where I family and live like a queen. I don't want to live like a queen. That is not what I dream of. Trust me, kings and queens are overrated, I said. She remained silent. What do you want, Ria? Do you have a dream? Well, dreams suck. You get attached to them and they don't come true. Sometimes they do. Not in my case. What is your dream? I asked again. She looked at me. You'll laugh. Try me. Sight smiled. Okay, so, I have this dream. I want to play music and sing, in a bar in New York. Well. What? You think it's stupid, right? No. That's quite specific. Singing in a bar in New York. Yes. That's it. I don't want to be a famous singer or a rock star. I don't want to marry a billionaire. I just want to sing in peace, surrounded by passionate people. I want to own a house in Manhattan, my house, filled with books and music CDs. I want to play basketball on weekends. I don't want to check out a dozen lehengas for my engagement. Sounds like you have it all figured out. Not really. Maybe it's just an escapist fantasy. But I have had it since I was 12. We had gone to New York. The city blew me away. I saw people who loved what they did. They weren't rich, but happy. And there was this lady in a bar. She sang from her heart, unaware of everything around her. The sun was setting, and the sky turned from orange to dark grey. We had now reached the point near Rashtrapati Bhavan where Delhi police guards tell you to stop and turn around. She continued to tell me about her New York trip. In fact, I took up basketball because I saw an NBA game live at Madison Square Garden in New York. You've seen an NBA game live? I said. Yeah. The atmosphere. It's electric. You should see one sometime, Madhav. I shrugged. Anyway, I like your dream, Ria, I said. It's doable, not unreal. Unreal, like, she said. Like becoming a top actress or the Prime Minister. You just want something simple. She smiled. Nothing is simple for a girl in a family like mine, she said. We walked in silence for a few minutes. I feel better, she said after a while. What? She looked at me. The last of the daylight tinted her face orange, making her look ethereal. I wanted to give her a hug. I feel better after talking to you. Thanks, she smiled. The sun vanished and the road became dark. Her skin glowed in the amber lights of Rajpath. I took a chance and held her hand. Another accident, she said, but did not pull her hand away. We laughed together. She spoke again. Even my uncles are the same. Everyone sides with my parents. She continued to talk and I continued to listen, even though my entire attention was on how lovely her hand felt in mine. 5. Alter our movie date, we started to spend even more time together. During lunch break, we would sit on the college lawns and eat home-cooked food from her house. She brought an elaborate meal where I in a 3-tid tiffin box. How's the food in the res, she said. Not as good as the Samani Cafe, I said. We sat facing the red brick college building. The winter sun warmed us as well as her cold tiffin box. I ate 3 of her 4 chapatis, and most of the palak dal along with it. She never touched the sweet churma. I ate it with a plastic spoon. How's your room, she said. Like any other res room. Basic. Books, basketballs and bed linen. Do you keep it clean? I shook my head and grinned. What? You don't clean it regularly? Once a week. Awful. I don't have 6 servants like you do, Miss Ria. I want to see your room. You can't, I said. Girls are not allowed. I know. Just kidding, she laughed. How's your family? I said. Same. My brothers, male cousins and uncles are busy planning how to increase their wealth. The women are gushing over their last shopping trip. Or figuring out which marriage to attend next. Good, everything is normal then, I said. I bought a guitar, she said. Nice. Yeah, I barely talk to anyone at home. Me and my guitar, we're happy. You talk to me, I said. Even though you eat all my lunch, she said and smacked the side of my head. Do you like me? I said. She had heard this too many times. Not again, Madhav, please. She lay down on the grass. She wore a white and maroon salwar kameez and a black cashmere cardigan, which she had removed and placed on the grass next to her. She scrunched her eyes to avoid the sun. I shifted and sat in front of her, so my shadow would cover her face. Ah, that's nice. Tall shady tree, thank you. People in college talk about us. How we are always together, I said. So, let them. As long as we know there is nothing between us. I tilted my body sideways in protest. The sun was back on her face. What, she said and covered her eyes with her hand. Where did my tree go? The tree is not feeling appreciated. What do you mean? Why is there nothing between us? I said, my upper body still bent to the side. Should there be? First, can you sit like you were sitting before, so people don't think you are weird and my delicate skin can be protected from the sun? I sat up straight once again. Better, she said. I need a pillow. Move forward please, tree. She put her head in my lap. Nice. Now, what do you want, pillow tree? I'd had many such arguments with her over the past month. She had become an expert at dodging the issue, always getting away with some nonsense, like now. Give me your cardigan, I said. Why? Are you cold? It's a girl's sweater, pillow tree, she said and giggled. I placed the sweater over my head. It hid my face. What, she said. I said nothing. Are you sulking, my tall tree, she said. I didn't respond. She pulled the sweater towards her so that both our faces came under it. Yes. Sulky man, what's the issue, she said, her face upside down and huge, given that it was so close to mine. I did not respond. She blew on my face but I did not react. Everyone here must be finding this so creepy, she said, our faces under the sweater. Nobody cares, I said. I thought you said everyone talks about us. I let out a grunt of protest. She laughed. I took aim and bent. In a second I managed to place my lips on hers, despite her face being upside down. Spider-Man kisses like that. It isn't easy. I wouldn't advise it if thou were kissing someone for the first time. She sprang up. As she rose, her forehead hit my chin. I bit my tongue. Hey, she said, not fair. I held my mouth in pain. Her forehead had hurt me badly. Still, the pain paled in comparison to the joy I felt from landing my first kiss. Are you hurt, she said. I made a face. Listen, I'm sorry. But what was that, she said. A kiss. I know. What for? I felt like it. She stood up, collected her tiffin box and walked away. I ran behind her. She ignored me and walked faster. I held her arm. She stopped and glared at me until I let go. She started to walk away again. I am sorry, okay? I said and blocked her way. I thought you like me. Madhav, please understand, I'm not comfortable with all this. I really like you, Ria. You mean so much to me. You are the reason I've survived in this place. So appreciate what we have. Don't spoil it. What do we have? What am I to you? If we kiss, we have something, if we don't, then nothing, she said. I kept quiet. She looked at me for a few seconds. She shook her head in disappointment, turned and walked off. I saw her reach the main gate and get inside her blue car, only then did I realize I still held her cardigan in my hand. Asterisk, I didn't know if she would come to play basketball with me after the cardigan incident. To my surprise, she did, all svelte in a new Nike top and white shorts. We played without much conversation. Usually, we would stop to chat every 5 minutes. Today, she focused on the ball like a soldier. Does in combat with an enemy /. I am sorry, okay? I said, playing with her wasn't as much fun as before. It's fine, she said, let's not talk about it again. I put on a sorry face for the next 20 minutes. Finally, I held my ears and stood in the center of the court. It did the trick. She smiled. Sorry, I also overreacted, she said. Friends, she said. Ban this word, I tell you. Yes, friends, I said. She came forward to hug me. I gently pushed her away. What are you doing, she said. I'm not comfortable with this. Please don't spoil what we have, I said, mocking her high-strung tone. I stomped my feet and walked off the court. She followed me. Ignore girls and they can't leave you alone. Strange. I didn't look at her. She spoke from behind me. Okay, I get it. I'm a girl. I'm allowed some drama sometimes. Really? Well, I said sorry, too. Whatever. By the way, your cardigan is still with me at the residence. Oh, please get it to college tomorrow. It's my favorite. You want to come pick it up? You wanted to see my room, right? I said. She raised an eyebrow. Really? But how? There's a system. It involves me making the guards happy while you rush inside. You'll sneak me in, she said, her eyes opening wide. You won't be the first girl to summon to the residences. We walked towards the briar-climbed path to Rudra North. She stopped a few steps before I reached Rudra. What if we get caught, she said. I'll be expelled, but they'll spare you. You're a girl and your father will have enough contacts, so. Let's do it, I said. LL went up to the guard. I followed the code, told him to check out a problem in the bathroom, and slipped him 50 rupees. He had done it for others before, so he quietly understood. He saw Ria in the distance. Is she from outside or a student? The guard said. What do you care? I said. Just in case there's any trouble later. Will there be trouble? No, make sure she leaves in 30 minutes. No guarantee with the new guard. 6. She entered my room and I slammed the door shut behind us. My room was furnished with the bare necessities, a bed, a desk, an easy chair and a study chair. The walls were lined with certificates and pictures. So many certificates, she said as she scanned them. They began right from the inter-school tournaments I had won in Class 8 to the one I had for participation in the national games. My team from Bihar had come 8th. And are these photos of your friends? Those are friends from my old basketball team, I said, standing behind her. I stood close enough for her hair to touch me. We had never been alone together before. How about family pictures, she said. I opened my study table drawer. I took out a photograph of the Dumron Royal School's annual day. My mother stood on a stage along with students in red sweaters. Your mom, she said, holding the picture. She's the principal. You have more pictures. Not really, I said and rifled through the drawers. I found another black and white photo, but hid it. What is that? Nothing. Show, no. It's a childhood picture. Oh, then I definitely want to see it. She charged towards me. No, I protested and tried to shut the drawer. She laughed, and tackled me like she did on the basketball court, treating the picture like the ball. On the court our occasional touches meant little. In the room, her jostling me felt electric. I wanted to grab her tight, but didn't. I didn't want a scene like last time. I let her have the picture and stepped aside. She looked at it and began to laugh. How old are you in this? 4. The picture was of my parents and me standing outside the Havli. My mother wore a sari with a gungat covering half her face. I wore a vest and little else. Ria sat down on the bed. She examined the photograph like a detective solving a murder mystery. I sat next to her. Is that your Havli? She said. I nodded. It's beautiful. That's 15 years ago. Now it's falling apart. She looked closer. A cow was visible in the background. 2 kids sat under a tree with an old man. Who are they? Random people, perhaps some visitors. I told you, people come to us with their problems. For them, we are still the rulers. I'd love to go see it. I laughed. What? She said, puzzled. You. In Bihar? Yeah, why not? I shook my head and laughed again. What's so funny, Prince? She said and tickled me. Stop it, I'm ticklish, I said and laughed uncontrollably. You think I can't leave my sheltered life, huh? She said, poking my stomach with her fingers. I grabbed and held her. She realized it only after a few seconds. Hey, she said. What? You're holding me. Good observation. I looked straight into her eyes. She did not look away. Even though I had zero experience with girls, I could tell this was a good sign. What? She said. I leaned forward to kiss her. At the last moment she moved her face away and I ended up kissing her cheek. Madhavja, she said. Behave yourself. She said it in a firm voice, though without the anger she had shown that day on the lawn. I am behaving like myself. This is what I want to do. All you boys are the same, she said and slapped my wrist. You've experienced all boys. I raised my eyebrows. Shut up. Okay, listen, before I forget, I have to invite you to a party. Don't change the topic. Don't stick to one either, she said and extracted herself from my grip. She shifted into the study chair. Come here. Near me, I said. No, sir. I don't trust you. Really. Your best friend. Who is not behaving like a friend, she said, emphasizing the last word. I lay back on the bed in a sulk, dangling my legs. I picked up basketball from the bookshelf and spun it on my little finger. I said, I want to invite you to a party. Are you paying attention? She said. Why do you want attention from someone you don't trust? Next Saturday, my house. At 100 Aurangzeb Road, she said, palms resting on her lap. I sat up on the bed. Your house? I said. Yes, the party is at my place. You're making me meet the parents. Yeah, why? There are going to be loads of people there. It's a party. Oh, what is the occasion? I said, back to spinning the ball all my pinky. My birthday party. Your birthday is next month, the 1st of November. See? I remember. Dad wants me to celebrate it next week. We have family friends in town. I nodded and continued to look at the ball. With one swoop of her arm, she took the ball away from me. Hey. I protested. Is that a yes? Do I have a choice? She threw the ball at me. It missed my face and hit my neck. You're making it sound like a punishment. It's a party invitation, she said. I'll come on one condition. What? Come sit next to me. I patted the bed. She rolled her eyes, stood up and came to sit down next to me. Why don't you let me hold you? I said and took her in my arms. Well, you are now. You don't like it. Madhav. Her policewoman voice was back. What is so wrong with it? I have issues with this stuff. I do. Issues. You know what? Forget it. See, you don't want to listen. Anyway, I am not ready for it. Ready for what? She shook her head. I brought my face close to hers. She looked at me. There you go again. What is it? A compulsion, huh, she said. I kept quiet. Her light brown eyes continued to stare me down. No woman has ever meant more to me than you. She laughed. What? That could mean two things. I am really special, or there's not been much choice. I couldn't answer. I bent forward and gave her a light peck on her lips. She didn't protest, but didn't join in either. Her lips felt soft and warm. I gave her another peck. She placed her hand on my chest and pushed me back. What? I said. I better leave, she said and stood up. Ria, we kissed, I said, excited. She looked at me, her brown eyes a deeper brown than usual. You really don't get girls, do you? What? Broadcasting it, like a kid who's found a candy jar. Sort of. Even better than candy though. Nice to know you find me better than a lollipop. I laughed. Are we dating? I said. She grabbed my collar. Madhavji. Learn about girls, or figure it out. But don't ruin it. Understand, she said. I didn't understand at all. I do. I said. Bye. Now see me out. We tiptoed out of my room and walked to the Rudra exit. We saluted a thank you to the guard and left. I had always considered my selection to the Bihar state team as the happiest day of my life. After kissing Ria, the selection day became the second happiest. 7. A girl in the hostel. Ashu slapped my back. What a stud. My hostel mates had come to my room. Fat Ashu sat on my bed, making it creak like crazy. His back slap still hurt. Ashu, Raman and Shailesh had become my core gang in Rudra. Ria couldn't be with me all the time, and when she couldn't, I hung out with these guys. How did you find out? I said. I can still smell the perfume, Raman said and sniffed like a cartoon character. Everyone laughed. All four of us came front Bihar or Jharkhand, and none of us were the classy types you find in Stevens. For instance, nobody in Stevens would say they watched Bhojpuri movies. We loved them. We liked Hindi music, from Mohammed Rafi in the 60s to Pritam in the Here and Now. We didn't understand English music beyond one song by Michael Jackson, Beat It. Of course, we never admitted all this to the rest of our classmates. We nodded our heads every time someone mentioned a great English movie or brought a rock CD to class. Yeah, cool, we said. Nonsense. Ria and I came straight from the basketball court. No perfume, I said. Even a girl's sweat smells like perfume, Shailesh said. I threw the basketball at his head. His rectangular framed glasses flew to the floor. He screamed and held his head in pain. You're trying to kill me or what? He said. I placed Shailesh's spectacles back on his nose. Stop talking like that about Ria, I said. Oh my, protective and all, Shailesh said. Among the four of us, Shailesh's English was the best. Of course, he preferred Hindi like the rest of us, but he could pass off as a Real Stephanian when he spoke in English. So, are you guys in a relationship? Things seem to be escalating. Shailesh said. What? I said. Ashu laughed. He's fucking with you, Raman said. He had just learned the F word. He liked using it. A lot. Did anything happen? Ashu said. I shrugged. What? Ashu said. Dude, did you just do it with the BMW 5 Series Ria Samani? Nothing much happened, I said, and stop it, all of you. Is she your girlfriend? Shailesh said. Half the college talks about you guys. I don't know, I said. You don't know? Ashu said. She's not sure. And you? I kept quiet. You love her? Ashu said. I smiled at Ashu. He had asked me the most stupid question. Did I love her? Did the earth go around the sun? Did night follow day? Gone, you are so gone. I can see it on your face, Ashu said, patted the bed, inviting the others to join him. My single bed groaned as 3 boys lay down on it. They stared at the ceiling. As self-styled relationship experts, they offered advice. Be careful, Raman said, of this kind of girl. What the? I said, irritated. What kind of girl? And remove your shoes from my bed. I sat on the study table and snatched up the basketball again. Rich ones. They need toys for time pass. Don't be a toy, Raman said. Toy? I'm her best friend. Besides, she's different. Not money-minded, I said. You know who her father is? Shailesh said, adjusting his glass. Some big shot Mewari businessman. I said. Samani Infrastructure. Your lady's dad and his brother have a 500 crore business, Shailesh said. Ashu and Raman whistled. 500 crore. Raman said, why is she here? WHV, does she need to study at all? I threw a cushion at Raman. Shown what a backward Jharkhandi you are. You remind me of villagers back home. People could study for other reasons, no. What reasons? Ashu said, craning his neck towards me. She's figuring herself out. Her dreams, passions, desires. Does she know your desires? Her best friend who wants to do her on his creaky hostel bed. Ashu started to move side to side to make the bed creak more. Everyone laughed. Shut up, bastards, I said. I needed real advice to make sense of what was happening in my life. She's invited me home for her birthday party. The 3 sat up straight. Can we come along? Ashu said. No, you're useless, Raman said. The point is, should I go? I said. What? Raman said. Of course you should. Where does she stay? Aurangzeb Road. Where is it? One of the richest areas. In Lutyens, Delhi. See. That's why I am not sure if I should go. Why not? She'll have her clan there. Everyone is going to see me. And you're afraid of that? Ashu laughed. I would be, if I were you. Shut up, Fatso, Shailesh said. Listen, you have to go. If you want to get close to this girl, you have to meet these people one day anyway. They will judge me. I can't dress or talk like them. What nonsense. Just wear a nice white shirt. Borrow mine, Shailesh said. I kept quiet. Better get it over and done with, Raman said after a pause. What do you mean? I said. Boss, her rich and classy Mewari family is never going to approve of a villager. You, me and the rest of us here know that, Raman said. The boy is a state-level basketball player and studies at St. Stephen's College. Isn't that something? Shailesh said. Raman smirked. Still a Bihari farm boy, no, he said. I trembled. The image of rich judgmental parents in a giant bungalow flashed across my mind. You're killing his confidence, Ashu said. Damn, he loves her, okay. So? Raman said. She came to his room, no. Ashu said. Madhav, boss, she came to your room, right? Knowing you're a Bihari. She wants to visit Bihar, I said. There you go. Ashu said. Raman rolled his eyes. Go to the party. At least you'll get free food, Ashu said and patted my back again. Fatso hit so hard, it hurts for days. 8. I took 2 buses to get to Aurangzeb Road. I couldn't find any regular houses there, only massive mansions. Each building looked like an institution, not someone's private home. 100, Aurangzeb Road. I saw the sign etched in gold on a black granite plaque. Concealed yellow lights lit up a nameplate, which merely stated Samani. I had borrowed Shailsha's blazer and shirt. I adjusted my clothes. Evenings in October had started to turn chilly. I approached the guard. "What's your name?" the guard said in a Bihari accent. He held an intercom phone in his right hand. Madhavji. "I am Ria's friend." The guard eyed me up and down. He spoke into the intercom. "Ria madam's friend. Shall I send him in?" The guard paused. He looked at me. "What?" I said. "Wait. They will respond and approve. Isn't there a party?" "Yes, in the back garden. The maid has gone to check." In college I underwent no layers of security to meet Ria. I felt awkward standing and waiting, so I made conversation with the guard. "Are you from Bihar?" I said. "Yes, from Manja.u. Dumron." "And you are Ria madam's friend," he said. I heard the condescension in his voice. A low class can smell another low class. "Same college," I said. The guard gave me an approving nod. He could now understand how Ria could be friends with me. The intercom rang. "Go," the guard said to me, as if he had received clearance from air traffic control. I stepped inside. A maid gestured for me to follow her. 5 expensive cars, an Audi SUV, 2 Mercedes-Benz, 1 Bentley and Ria's BMW, were parked in the compound. I entered the house, and found myself in a large living room with a shiny white marble floor. Glittering chandeliers hung from the 15-foot-high ceiling. 3 sofa sets, upholstered in expensive silk, were arranged in a U-shaped configuration. A teak and glass coffee table occupied the middle of the room. This is what a real palace would look like if royals actually had any money. I thought of my Havli, with its peeling walls and cracked floors. Forget chandeliers, we felt lucky if we had less than 5-hour power cuts. Suddenly, in this lap of luxury, I felt lonely. I missed home, my hostel room and my mother, all at the same time. It is funny how class works. The moment you are placed in a higher one, a part of you feels terrified and alone. "Come this way," the maid said as she saw me stand still. We reached the back garden. Loud music and a waft of cool breeze greeted me. I saw the manicured, basketball court-sized garden lit up with small fairy lights. White-gloved servers manned a buffet and bar counter. In the right corner, water shimmered in a small swimming pool. Most of Tilatiod guests had gathered around the pool. Everyone was dressed as if they had just participated in a fashion show. People chatted in small groups. Everyone seemed extremely happy. I looked around for the tall girl who had invited me. However, this party had several tall girls, a lot of them on account of their 3-inch heels. "Hey, Madhav." I heard her voice. I squinted to find Ria waving at me from a distance. She walked towards me. She wore a wine-colored dress which ended 6 inches above her knees. She had applied light makeup. Her face looked even prettier than it did every day. She wore dangling diamond and white gold earrings, with a matching necklace and bracelet. She had dark red lipstick on, making her lips appear fuller than usual. I couldn't believe I had kissed these same lips a week ago. She hugged me like she always did. It felt odd to embrace in front of so many people. "Why so late?" she said. "Took a while to figure out the bus routes." "I told you I would send the car." "You and your ego hassles," she said. "Anyway, come." She held my wrist and pulled me towards the crowd. We walked towards the pool where her friends stood. "Garima, Aisha and Rashida. You know them, right?" Ria said. "Yes, from the cafe." "Of course," Aisha said. She brushed her hair away from her forehead. The 3 girls wore expensive dresses and giggled at regular intervals for no apparent reason. Ria introduced me to another girl in a black dress. "This is Yamini." "We were best friends in modern school," Ria said, hugging Yamini. "We were." "I hear you are the best friend now, my competition," said Yamini, blowing a curly fringe out of her eyes. "Shoo, Yamini," Ria said and turned to me. "She's teasing you. Both of you are my buddies." I hated that word, buddies. Buddies felt like a pair of stuffed toys placed next to each other, with no romantic spark whatsoever. I had thought after our first kiss that Ria would be more open about us. I handed over a present to Ria. "Oh, thank you," she said, "but my birthday isn't until next month." She opened the present without asking me. "What is it?" she said as she fingered the fabric inside, trying to make sense of it. "It's a shawl," I said. I didn't have much money to afford a big gift. With winter coining, I thought this would be a nice present. Besides, it was within my budget of $500. So thoughtful. This will keep me warm. Ria said with a big smile on her face. I hear you play good basketball. Can you beat her? Yami said. I try, I said. He's being modest. He plays state level. Going to be college captain soon. Handsome college captain, Yamini chuckled. A waiter brought over a tray of snacks. What's that? I said. Sushi, the waiter said. I had never heard that word before. I looked puzzled. It's fish on rice. Yamini said. I extended my hand to pick up a piece. Raw fish, Ria said. What? I said and recoiled from the tray. The girls burst into laughter. It's okay, Japanese food. Even I don't eat it, Riva said. Your family is vegetarian, right? I said. Yes, but our guests are not. It's for them. Come, let me introduce you to some people. Ria grabbed my arm. Hey, Ria, 1 second, Aisha called from behind. Ria excused herself and went back. I saw the 5 girls chat with each other in an animated manner. At one point, everyone apart from Ria laughed. She didn't seem to find the joke as funny as the others. Sorry, Ria said as she rejoined me. Are you having a good time? Fancy house you have, I said as we walked to the other end of the garden. My dad's and uncle's house, you mean? Still, great place. Thanks, she said. Are you having a good time? I'm with you. That's how I define a good time. She smacked my back with her hand and smiled. So, who am I meeting? I said. Dad, Mom and some of their friends. Dad and Mom. I said. Every guy has a fear of meeting his girl's parents. Apparently, there is a scientific term for it, sociophobia. We reached the bar. A distinguished-looking couple in their early 50s stood with guests. Ria's parents held a glass of champagne each. They looked like those people in the Titan watch ads. They wore well-ironed clothes with immaculate accessories. Everything they had on was designer, including their smiles. Ria's father wore a black bandana and gold-rimmed glasses. Ria's mother wore a gold-colored silk sari. Ria, there you are, Mr. Samani said. He put his arm around his daughter. Rohan's been asking for you. Ria extracted herself from her father's embrace and moved aside 1 step. Hi, Rohan, she said. When did you arrive? Rohan was a handsome man in his mid-20s with gelled hair. He wore a black formal suit. 2 minutes ago. The parlor took so bloody long to finish my facial, Rohan said with a heavy British accent. Rohan Shandak, I learnt, had come from London 3 days ago. He and his mother were staying at Ria's house for the duration of their 1-week trip. The Shandaks and the Samanis both hailed from Jaipur, family friends for 3 generations. The Shandaks had a hospitality business in London. I presumed, like the Samanis, they were rich. Never mind, young man, Ria's father said and patted Rohan's back. We are so proud of you, Beta. Mr. Samani recited the story of Rohan's father who had died 2 years ago. Rohan had taken over the hotel business at a young age and was doing extremely well. Ria and Rohan seemed to have heard the story too many times before and looked embarrassed. Mr. Samani went on for 3 minutes. I checked it against my watch. It's okay, Uncle Rohan said. I just do it to make my mom happy and proud. That's all. Ria's mother stood next to her husband throughout. Like me, she had not said a word. So, at just 24, running 6 hotels in London with 400 rooms, and planning the 7th. So proud of you, son. Mr. Samani repeated, finally ending his tribute. I put on an expression of extreme awe and appreciation, as seemed to be expected of me. Not that my daughter Ria is any less. Let me tell you, Mr. Samani said. Ria interrupted him. Dad. Stop, she said, somewhat rude and abrupt, considering she was speaking to her father. Mr. Samani smiled and let Ria speak. Dad, I want you to meet Madhav, a good client of mine from college, Ria said. Mr. Samani looked at me. He paused for a second before saying hello. I had worn Shailsha's best blazer and shirt, but it still didn't match the clothes of the other guests. Mr. Samani, with his impeccable taste, had noticed my less-than-designer outfit. Hello, Madhav, Mr. Samani said. He shook my hand in an extra-friendly way, as if to compensate for the doubts of a few seconds ago. Good to meet you, sir, I said, my insecurities forcing me to say sir. Madhav what, he said. Indians have to know your last name to place you, Madhav Ja, I said. Ja as in, Bihar. I am from Bihar, I said, familiar with the upcoming question. Mr. Samani didn't answer. Ria broke the awkward silence. And that's Mom, she said. Ria's mother smiled and folded her hands. I wished her with an amassed too. A waiter arrived with a tray of drinks. Rohan took a beer, Ria picked up a glass of wine and Mr. Samani helped himself to a whiskey. I didn't know what to take so I waved a no. Nice party, Samani, Uncle Rohan said. Mr. Samani lifted his glass for a toast. Mrs. Samani made an eye movement to indicate that some important guests had just arrived, someone incredibly rich or powerful, or both. Mr. and Mrs. Samani excused themselves and sidled off. Ria smiled at me. I smiled back at her, trying my best to fit in. So you guys do college together, innit? Rohan said. His British accent made it hard for me to understand him. Yes, different course. Same college. Ria said. Rohan was an inch shorter than Ria and 5 inches shorter than me. However, his age and confidence made us seem like kids answering his questions. Basketball, that is wicked, Rohan said. Wicked? Why wicked? I said. He laughed, as if he didn't mean it in a bad way. Even Ria smiled. What? Nothing. It's such a British English thing, Ria said. I guess I didn't understand British or English things. How do you like India? I said, trying to make conversation. Grew up here, dude. I left 10 years ago, he said. I wondered if 10 years could completely change a person's accent. Stevens, eh? Top college. You must be pretty damn smart, Rohan said to me. I entered through the sports quota, I said. Ria's eyes shuttled between both of us. She watched our man-to-man equation. He was 6 years older, insanely rich and far more accomplished. He also had a fancy accent, gelled hair and lived in London. I was nothing compared to him. Yet, there was something jerk-like about Rohan Shandak. Or maybe it was just my imagination. At least I'm taller, I told myself to feel better. Ria, babe, you only got guy friends. Or you have some lovely ladies to introduce me to. Plenty. Come to the poolside. Ria said. Yeah. Don't make me hang out here with the oldies. Ria and Rohan turned towards the pool. Hey, Madhav, Ria said. Yeah. Stop looking so lost. We rejoined Ria's gang. Ah, so this is where the loveliest ladies in Delhi hang out, Rohan said. Why couldn't I think of clever lines like that? Ria introduced Rohan to everyone. Rohan held each girl's hand for a second, lifted it and said, a pleasure to meet you, or something like that. It was too much, if you ask me. However, the giggly girls liked it. So you are the London hotshot, Yamini said. From London for sure, madam, but not a hotshot, Rohan said. Everyone laughed. I think when rich guys say something, girls find it extra funny. Wait a minute, guys, Rohan said as he took out his phone from his pocket. Yes, Mummiji. Everything okay, right? When will you be here? Everyone is asking for you. Okay, don't be too late. The party can't start without you. I watched Rohan's face as he stepped aside to take his call. It glowed, perhaps due to the facial he had mentioned, or maybe it was just his mother's voice. You ladies like to party. Is there a nightclub for afterwards? Rohan said when he came back. There's Agni at the park, Aisha said, playing with her hair. I wondered why on earth anyone would leave such a fancy party and go anywhere else. However, rich people like to have options and try different things. You've known Ria a long time? Rashita asked Rohan. Since she was a little girl, Rohan said, I used to be able to lift her easily. Ha. I was 2, you were 8, Rohan. Ria said. Yes. Let me try that now. Rohan put his glass down. He bent forward and took hold of Ria's waist. Ria was too startled to protest. A surge of anger ran through my entire body. My fists and face tightened up in a primal response. Leave her alone, you bastard, I said in my head. Rohan lifted her off the ground. The girls giggled. He placed Ria back down. It all lasted only 2 seconds. However, my insides continued to burn long after it was over. You are the quiet type, mate, Rohan said to me. What's up? Need another drink? Yeah, I need to drink your blood. Rohan beckoned to a waiter with drinks and passed me a beer without me asking for it. I didn't need a beer. I needed to whack this NI's head like a slam dunk shot. I needed alone time with Ria. I needed another accent. I chugged the beer down in one shot. I did it to assert my fast diminishing manliness in the group. Everyone watched me in surprise. Mate, that's rough. Go easy, Rohan said. Ria understood I wasn't being misafe. She looked at me as if to had the matter was. I turned the other way to avoid eye contact. The girls gathered around Rohan. He told them stories about his adventures at Indian airports. Madhav, can I talk to you for a second? Ria said. We stepped away from the group. We sat opposite each other on plush white sofas in Ria's drawing room. 2 waiters hovered around us. Can't we just, I said and fell quiet. A waiter brought us a tray of spring rolls. Madhav, so many guests. How are we supposed to be more private? Yeah, fine, I understand, I said. I picked up 2 spring rolls. Besides, I will see you in college on Monday, right, she said. I nodded as I ate the spring rolls. A part of my frustration came from hunger. I felt better after the snack. I understand how you feel. In some ways, even I feel like a tourist at these parties, Ria said. What? It's not real. All this. I've lived with this fakeness all my life, she said. And why did you speak to your dad so rudely? Did I? Whatever. He's another fake. Come on, Ria. Don't talk like that. You hate it here, don't you? No, I'm fine. What a grand house you live in. I still can't get over it, I said, in an attempt to change the topic. I hope it doesn't affect us. I'm still the same Ria who plays with you on the dusty court, she laughed. What is us, Ria? Us. You and me. Our friendship. Ria, we are more than friends. Are we? She looked at me as if genuinely confused. I've never kissed anyone before, I said. Madhav. What? People can hear us. Nobody can hear us. The loud music in the garden ensured nobody could hear anything. We'll talk about this later. You never do, I said. I will, I promise. Please cheer up now. What's with Mr. London? What was he lifting you for? Ria laughed. Oh, Ro. Ro is an old buddy. He's mad. She even had a nickname for him, Ro. It means cry in Hindi. I wanted Ro to row. Are you jealous? Not at all. Yes, you are. Whatever, let's go back in. She stood up. You liked my parents. I nodded. You can't say you didn't like someone's parents. Good. Come, let's go in before they start getting ideas. Ideas? What ideas? I wanted to ask her. We walked into the garden. The music drowned out my thoughts. The younger crowd danced around the pool. Rohan danced with Ria's friends. He called out to us. I wondered if I could pretend to dance and kick Ro into the water. Of course, I didn't do that. I refused to dance. I couldn't embarrass myself in front of this crowd. In Dumron, we danced like mad people. We played loud music and moved our bodies frantically. Also, men and women never danced together. Here, Rohan danced with each girl for a few seconds. Sometimes, he would hold their hand while dancing, and the girl would be all giggles. What is so funny about a rich guy holding your hand? He even held Ria's hand once. She twirled around him. My internal organs twirled inside me. I couldn't do anything but look away. A waiter came up to me. Are you Madhavji, sir? He said. Yes, I said, surprised he knew my name. I am from Dumron, too. Oh, how do you know I am from there? The guard outside told me. Nice to meet you, sir. Feels like I've met someone from home. The waiter spoke to me for a few minutes, shook my hand and left. Ria raised her eyebrows from the dance floor, wondering what I was doing with the waiter. I shook my head and smiled. There are things some people can never understand. There's no point telling them. 9. Even I have no fucking idea what sushi is, Ashu said. It's Japanese food. How the fuck are we supposed to know? Do they know our litikokha? Raman said. He dug his fork deep into the mound of biryani piled high on his plate. We were in the dining hall for Sunday dinner and a post-mortem of Ria's party. Sushi is no big deal. The bigger deal is she didn't make you feel special, Shailesh said. He adjusted his spectacles and drank a glass of water. Shailesh, always the straight talker, had silenced everyone with his statement. The sound of cutlery filled the awkward silence. Trouble, brother, trouble, Shailesh said, after a minute. But she kissed him, Ashu said. Toys. Told you about rich people and their toys, Shailesh said. I ate my food. My friends further analyzed the situation. In my heart I knew Ria didn't see me as a toy. We had a connection. But my heart can be over-imaginative and stupid. I'll talk to her, I said. What? Enough talking. Now do, Raman said. Do what? I said. Raman shook his head. Everyone smiled. Listen, Madhav, I don't want to break your heart. But you do know such a girl is beyond you, Raman said. What do you mean? I said, putting my fork down on the table. Look at them. Look at you. You forgot your orchate or what? Raman had spoken in a flat, controlled voice. However, it hurt. It hurt like he had taken his blunt fork and jabbed it into my chest. It hurt because he didn't think I deserved Ria. It hurt because he had spoken the truth. Why does she hang out with me all the time? I said. She can have all the rich friends she wants. In fact, she does. You are the new exotic creature in her life. She's bored with everything else, Raman said. Are you always this pessimistic? Ashu said. Only the fat kid supported me. I transferred the gulab jamun from my plate onto his. The statistical probability is low, Shailesh said, in his academic voice. However, my friend Raman should know that love does happen between classes. If this is love, why is she avoiding a relationship? Raman said. He stood up to leave. He had finished his dinner and what he wanted to say. Ashu thanked me for the gulab jamun. Raman has no experience with girls. You are doing well. Take it slow. Everything will be fine, he said. What do you think, Shailesh? I said. Of the four of us, I trusted Shailesh's judgment the most. He topped the class and was the most well-read. Of course, like us, he had little experience with women. He drank another glass of water. Yes, don't rush it. However, don't stall it either, Shailesh said. What does that mean? Ashu said on my behalf. Keep it slow, but keep escalating, Raman said. Escalating? What? How? I said. What's the clearest sign a girl likes you? Shailesh said. She spends time with you. I said. Wrong, Shailesh said and stood up as well. So then? I said. You know the answer. Now do it, Shailesh said and left. Asterisk, what do you want to talk about? Ria said. She had worn a lemon-colored chicken salwar kameez to college that day. We sat under the big banyan tree in between classes. Her hair blew in all directions in the afternoon breeze. Thanks for the party, I said. You are welcome. Like I told you, it isn't really my scene, but my parents wanted to do it. Ria, that's your world. It was me who didn't fit in. I can fit in, but I can't relate to it. I'd rather have a meaningful conversation over chai than catered sushi with plastic smiles. How's Rohan? Sorry, Ro, I said. He made quite an impression on you. He's cool, no. See, you find him cool. That is your world, I said. He's over the top and a bit of a show-off. But at least Rohan's fun. The rest are all boring businessmen who only talk money and property. Go have fun then, I said and looked away from her. She tugged at my elbow. Anyway, forget the party. Eye contact, please. Eyes squinting against the mid-morning sun, she draped her yellow dupatta around her face. She looked like a bunch of yellow flowers. I had to be firm. I ignored how cute she was, lest it weaken my resolve. What did you want to talk about? She asked again. The kiss, I said. Ria giggled. I can't believe I am the girl and you are the guy. The guy wants to talk about it. Very funny. Now can we discuss it? What about the kiss? You forced it on me. Her answer stumped me. I didn't know what to say. I did it because. I fumbled for words. Yes, why? Why did you do it, Mr. Joe? Because I love you. Ria burst out laughing. I didn't like her laughter this time. Can you please be serious? Your casual behavior hurts me, I said. She composed herself and sat cross-legged under the tree. Okay, fine, Madhav, I will be serious. I laughed because I don't think you are in love with me. Oh, really? How do you know that? Have you been in love before? No, so how do you know it's love? Her confusing words left me tongue-tied. How do you know it's not? I said after half a minute. I know it is not, we are both too young, inexperienced but curious. Sure, we like each other. But love? Please? Ria, you have no idea how much you mean to me. I would do anything for you. Anything, I said. Our eyes locked. For a few seconds, even the articulate Miss Ria Samani didn't have words. Madhav, you mean a lot to me too. But what? I am not sure if I want a relationship right now. With anyone. How does one answer that? I had no idea. I don't mean that much to you then, I said. We hang out all the time. Aren't we almost a couple? So what's wrong with the next step? The bell rang for class. We stood up to leave. What's the next step, Madhav? She said, as we walked towards class. I scratched my head to think of an answer. Become my girlfriend. Oh. And what does that involve? Getting physical. Maybe. That's often part of it. She smiled and shook her head in an all-knowing manner. We stopped as we reached our respective classrooms. Please, Ria, I said. Please be my girlfriend. Is this a proposal? She said. If that's how you see it. I'll think about it. You'll tell me after class. She grabbed my shoulders and turned me towards my classroom, *. Ria didn't come to college the next day. I briefed my friends cum relationship experts about the proposal while eating lunch in the dining hall. Shailesh felt I had come across as desperate. Ashu thought I had handled it well. Well, did she tell you her decision afterwards? Raman said, no. And today she is absent, I said. See. Desperate. She's skipped college to avoid you, Shailesh said. To avoid me. Shailesh shrugged. You better get an answer, Raman said. You better do it with her, Shailesh said. Everyone fell silent. Do what? I said. The boys guffawed. You guys are sick. She's using you. Time pass until a real guy comes along, Shailesh said, picking his teeth with a toothpick. Ignore Shailesh. Find out why she's absent. Message her, Ashu said. Should I? She's supposed to answer my question, I said. The boys didn't answer either. I came to my room after lunch. I had a mobile phone now. Even though expensive, I would use it sometimes to call Ria. I composed a message. Did not see you in college. Everything okay? I deleted the text and retyped it 3 times. Finally, I pressed send. The worst wait in life is waiting for someone to text back. Ria didn't answer for an hour. It felt like a week. After that 1 hour, I sent the same message again. That way, it would come across as a double delivery rather than me being desperate. It is funny how, when friendship moves towards a relationship, every message requires awareness and strategy. The second message went, disguised as a screw-up of Airtel. She didn't reply for another hour. I wanted to call her. It felt lame. I had proposed to her. The least she could do was give me a reply. I also felt scared. What if she said no? Maybe her silence meant no. What if she stopped talking to me? Panic gripped me. I wondered if proposing to her was the worst mistake of my life. I decided to call her. I typed her number 6 times. But I did not press the green call button. I didn't have the courage. My phone beeped. I had a new message. I opened it. I'm sick, sad smiley. Viral fever. Resting at home. Relief coursed through me. She had sent back a normal, harmless message. I wanted to ask about the proposal, but it felt like a bad time. Unsure, I froze. Why don't they teach us how to talk to girls? Get well soon, I sent after rigorous analysis and deliberation in my head. Thanks, she said. Miss you, I typed. Before I could think, I pressed send. She didn't respond for a minute. It felt like a decade. Had I messed up again? Was it not the right thing to say? Then come home. Cheer me up. Her message felt like 1,000 red rose petals on my face. I checked my timetable. Damn, I had 4 important, skippable classes. I couldn't go. See you in an hour, I said. Classes can wait. Love can't. 10. I knocked on the door of Ria's bedroom, located on the first floor of her house. Come in, Madhav, Ria said and sniffled, meet your sick friend. She was in bed, leaning against the backrest with her legs stretched out. She wore a white night suit with pink dots all over it. She looked like candy, more cute than ill. Viral fever suited her. Wait. Come back in again. I should sit with a thermometer in my mouth, she said. I smiled and sat on a chair near her bed. How are you feeling? I said. She shifted to the side and bent to look under the bed. She pulled out a guitar. Strumming it once, she started to sing. Terrible, I feel terrible. And I need a hug. I looked at her, surprised. Because I'm sure. That is my only cure. She saw my shell-shocked face and winked at me. Even though she sang as a joke, I loved her voice and the goofy lyrics of her song. You sing well, I said, and the guitar playing is not bad either. Ha ha. I feel terrible. I also sing terribly, she said. No you don't. You're good, I said. She smiled and kept her guitar aside. She spread her arms. What? I said. I said I need a hug. It is funny how women feel they have the right to demand physical affection whenever they want, but men can't. Like a trained pet, I stood up and bent to embrace her. You don't have fever, I said as I held her. Her body felt cold, in fact. I did a few hours ago. I took a nap and now I am better. You are fine. She mock frowned. I am a sick girl. Please take care of me, she said in a baby voice. I took that as a sign that she was in a good mood. I voiced what had been haunting me for the past 24 hours. You didn't answer my question, I said. What? The proposal. Baby, why are you doing this to us? I can say the same thing to you. We locked eyes for a few seconds. I came forward to kiss her. She ducked, and my lips landed on her forehead. What? I said. That was sweet. I like forehead kisses, she said. I gently took hold of her chin and raised her face. Our eyes met again. I leaned forward to kiss her again. She moved her face away with a jerk. What, baby? I said. If she could call me baby, I could too. No. No, Madhav, no. Why not? I don't want to. I'm not comfortable. We did it earlier. Yes, okay, we did. But I thought about it and I don't want to. You don't want to be with me. I didn't say that. Well, are you my girlfriend? No, what are we then? Friends. You allow friends to hold you like this? I had not let her go. She gently moved away. Okay, I'm your half-girlfriend. What? Yeah. I'm close to you. We spend time together. We can have affectionate hugs. But nothing more. Nothing more. What is more? Well, you know what constitutes more. We heard a knock on the door. It's the maid. Can you sit on the chair again, please, she said. I moved back to my seat. The maid brought in a tray with 2 glasses of orange juice. Ria and I took one each. We sipped our drinks in silence. I wondered what she meant when she said half-girlfriend. Where was my expert panel when I needed it? What were you saying? Half. I said after the maid left. She nodded. She seemed clear on what she had in mind. So we are more than friends. I said. Well, more than just casual friends, but I don't get to kiss you. You are obsessed with kissing, aren't you? Is that all I am to you, a pair of lips? She finished her glass of juice. It left a thin orange moustache on her face. Yes, I wanted to kiss that orange moustache. The maid knocked on the door again. She brought in a giant bouquet. It had 3 dozen fat pink roses with thin silk ribbons tying them together. Wow, Ria said. Who sent these? You. I shook my head. I couldn't afford such fancy flowers. The maid placed the bouquet on the bedside table and left. It's Rohan, Ria said, reading the get well soon tag. Isn't he in London? Yes, but he has contacts here. Are you in touch with him? Aha, my half-boyfriend is already possessive. I'm just asking. Not really. Dad must have told him I'm sick. Why is he sending you flowers? Don't read too much into it. He owns hotels. It's easy for him. His secretary must have asked a hotel in Delhi to send them. I remained silent. I had no idea. Maybe rich people found it normal to send flowers across continents to other rich people who had viral fever. I stood up to leave. She came to the door to see me off. So, we cool, she said. I nodded. In reality, I didn't know what to say. I needed my friends, like, now. I summoned my expert panel for an urgent meeting. All of us sat cross-legged on the grass lawns outside Rudra. I narrated my conversation with Ria, my failed attempts at kissing her, her frequent hugs, and Emily the deal on the table, half-girlfriend. I skipped the flower delivery, though. I didn't want to bring another variable or person into the picture. Half isn't bad. Depends on how you look at it, Ashu said. Half empty or half full. I idly tugged at blades of grass, waiting for everyone in any expert panel to make their opening remarks. Pretty sucky, if you ask me, Shailesh said. Pessimist Ashu said. Always glass is half empty. No. The half that is missing is pretty vital, Shailesh said. Raman. I said. Raman let out a deep sigh. Fuck, if a girl won't get physical with you, it's a warning sign, he said. Hell, it's more than a warning sign, Shailesh said. It's a fire brigade siren on maximum volume using 1000-watt amplifiers. Don't you get it, Mr. Dumron? She is playing with you. Ashu, you agree? I said. The fat Bihari, always soft and supportive, looked me in the eye. Do you like her? He said. Yes, I said. Do you trust her? I think so. The way she hugged me again and again. Or how she called me home. Or how she sits in her night clothes in front of me. I don't know. It means something, right? What is your gut feeling? My gut is bloody confused. That's why I am asking you guys. An army of intellectual men cannot solve the riddle created by an indecisive woman. My limited experience panel struggled for words. Say no. No half girlfriend. All or nothing, Shailesh said. All means what? I said. All means she is your girlfriend, in private and in public, Raman said. I pondered over their advice. At one level they made sense. However, when I was with Ria, she also seemed to make sense. What do I do? She asked if we were cool and I nodded. I said. This stuff is not discussed. This stuff is done, Shailesh said. How? Call her to your room. And then? I said. The three boys looked at each other and smiled meaningfully. And then what? I said. Make Bihar proud, Raman said and squeezed my shoulder. 11. We had practiced for less than 10 minutes when she got a stomach cramp. She held her stomach and gestured to stop the game. I'm not fully okay after the viral attack, she said. She walked off the court and sank to the ground. She buried her face in her hands. I need to rest. And I'm a little cold in these. She pointed to her extra small red shorts. They barely covered her upper thighs. You should have told me. We need not have played today, I said. I'll be fine, she said. She removed her hands from her face and smiled at me. It had been a week since my panel recommended taking Ria to my room again. Make Bihar proud, else you don't matter is what they had repeated to me all week. Today, I had the chance. Hey, you want to rest in my room? I said. Sneak in. I played it cool, yeah. You rest. Take a nap. I can study, or will even leave the room if you want me to. You don't have to leave your own room. She stood up. She had said I didn't have to leave. It meant she had agreed to come to. Rudra. Girls never tell you anything straight out anyway. You have to interpolate and extrapolate their responses to figure out what's on their mind. Asterisk, I smuggled her in again. As I shut the door of my room, I knew my moment of truth had come. Make Bihar proud, make yourself count, I repeated in my head. Ria sat on the bed, legs extended straight. Lie down, I said. I'm not that sick, just need to rest, Ria said and smiled. I see you've cleaned up your room. Well, it's still not as fancy as yours. It's a room in my father's house. How I wish I could stay in a hostel like you. Hey, would you like to change? I said, switching topics. You said you were cold. She had a change of clothes in her rucksack. Where? She said. I can't use the bathroom here. You could change here. Ha ha, nice try, mister. I meant I could leave the room. Oh, really? Such a gentleman. I had learned to ignore her sarcasm. I shrugged. I'm fine in these, she said. I'm not, I said. Why? Those shorts. They distract me. These red shorts. Well, the legs, to be precise. The legs the shorts are unable to hide. Ria laughed. She took a bedsheet and covered herself. Here. Better, mister. Now what? You want to study? Damn, I had lost my view. Yeah. You'll rest. Yes, Ria said and sniggered. What? Like that's going to happen? Of course it is, I said and turned away from her. I sat on the chair, switched on the table lamp and opened my sociology textbook. Ria sat on the bed. She seemed amused and somewhat stumped at me letting her be. A few minutes later, she lay down on the bed. What are you studying? She said, her eyes closed. Social uprisings in the early 20th century. How are your grades? Not bad, but I'm no topper. I went back to my book. What do you want to do after graduation? She said. Girls cannot stand being ignored, that too for a textbook. I've told you 50 times. Work in Delhi for a few years and then go back to Dumron. She said, her eyes still closed. She sounded like the nosy uncles who ask you questions only to dismiss your answers with a Let me study, Ria. You also rest. I didn't have a strategy, but I did have an intuition on how to proceed. Don't act too interested at first, she will just launch into a lecture. My curt responses puzzled her. I shut her up whenever she tried small talk. Finally, she grew quiet. I'm tired, I said, after half an hour of silence. I'm sleeping. Don't disturb, she said. It was her turn to act pricey. I also want to sleep. Stay there. I'm a patient. The patient is resting, she said, suppressing a smile. I shut my textbook. I went to the side of the bed and sat down. Ria. I said, my voice soft. She didn't respond, as if asleep. I lifted the quilt covering her. Her tiny shorts had bunched up even further. I couldn't help but stare at her legs. She pulled the quilt hack over her as a reflex. A girl knows she is being stared at, even in her sleep. I lay down next to her. I took care to have the least amount of body contact. I shared some of the quilt and shut my eyes. We lay still for 2 minutes. She turned to her side, her nose poked into my right shoulder. Her hand touched my elbow. Even with my eyes closed, I felt her warmth next to me. I turned to face her, pretending to be asleep. Casually, I placed my left arm on her. She didn't protest. My left hand touched her long hair. Her nose was now buried in my chest and I could feel her gentle breath on me. I slid my hand down her back and moved her closer towards me. She continued to sleep, or continued to pretend to sleep. I placed my leg over hers, my boldest move yet. The smooth bare skin of her leg touched mine. Electric sparks shot through me. I resisted the urge to kiss her. I let my hand slide further down her back. As I reached her lower back, her voice startled me. Mr. J, she said. Yes, Miss Samani. This is not called sleeping, you can sleep. Oh, really? How do you expect me to with you all over me? I laughed. I brought her closer and lifted her face. I tried to kiss her but she turned away. Control yourself, Madhav, she said. She tried to extricate herself. I didn't let go. Why? I said. That is what we agreed to. But why? Just. Oh my God, I just felt your. Madhav, let me go. Ria, come on. Can you just let me go? You are hurting me. I let her go. She slid to the edge of the bed, away from me. I want you. No, please let me. No, you have to. What do you mean I have to? She said. She sat up on the bed. She glared at me, her posture stiff. However, I was too consumed with my own feelings to cave in at this point. I had waited and played the patience game for too long. I expected her to yield to me now. What is your problem? I said. What is your problem? I'm not a release for your horniness. I didn't say you were. So why can't you just stick to what we discussed? Nothing physical. Just close friends. That doesn't work. Fine, maybe we can't even be friends. I couldn't answer her. I had run out of strategies and clever responses. She stepped off the bed, straightened her clothes and picked up her rucksack to leave. Anger mixed with desire. I grabbed her hand. You can't just play with me. I'm not your toy. Toy. You are using me. Until another guy comes along. Whatever. You are trying to use me. Ruining a perfect friendship. Bye. I pulled her close to me. She sat on the bed again, right next to me. It isn't a perfect friendship. I am not fully satisfied. She didn't like my answer. I bent forward to kiss her. She moved her face again. Only once. No, please. I said no, she said, her voice firm. I'm at my limit, Ria. I grabbed her shoulders. Madhav, I haven't seen this side of you. You are using physical force on me. I want to say something. What? Did I hi to do, Vana Katlo? What? I had said it in coarse Bhojpuri accented Hindi. I had said, make love to me, or leave. Actually, that sounds respectable. If I had to make an honest translation, I would say, fuck me, or fuck off. Hell, even that sounds way better than how I said it. I don't know what came over me that day. Maybe I just couldn't wait anymore. Perhaps I felt insecure and scared. Most likely I am a crass Bihari from Dumron whose true animal nature had come out. I realized I had spoken filth. I tried to take it back. What the hell did you just say? Nothing. Listen, I released my grip. Before I could collect my thoughts, Ria Samani had collected her belongings and left. Asterisk. She refused to take my calls. She didn't reply to any of my 27 messages. I waited for her at the college entrance every morning. She stepped out of her BMW, ignored me and walked quickly into her classroom. During breaks she surrounded herself with her girlfriends. When I approached her in the cafeteria, she took out her phone and pretended to be on a call. That was a bit much, Shailesh said. I had told my friends about the debacle in my room. They had listened with much interest, hoping for a story with titillating action. Instead, they heard of a total fiasco when I repeated the "Did I hi" line I had said to Ria. Even my thick-skinned friends cringed. We spoke filth sometimes, but nobody would ever talk like that to a girl. I, the idiot, had spoken like that to the woman I loved, worshipped, adored and respected more than anyone else on earth. Fix this disaster, rather than focusing on intimacy right now, Ashu had said, his tone irritated. Vile, I had tried to fix it. Ria just wouldn't meet me. Helpless, I had no option but to stalk her. I had to talk to her alone. I swore to myself not to say a word of Hindi, lest it come out crudely again. I did find her alone, finally. She sat in the library, immersed in her textbook, poring over the history of European literature. She wore a red and white salwar kameez with black earrings. Ria, I whispered. She stood up to change her seat. 2 minutes, I beg you, I said. She ignored me. She moved to another table full of students. I couldn't talk to her. I'm waiting outside, I said. 10 students looked up at me, startled. Ria continued to read the same page. I waited outside the library for 2.5 hours. When she came out, she saw me and walked in the other direction. 2 minutes, I said as I ran up to her. I don't want to talk to you, at all. Understand? I'll keep following you. Might as well talk. She glared at me and stood still, her hands balling into fists. Your time has started, she said. Listen, I am really, really sorry. She crossed her arms, textbook still in hand. Don't waste your time. Sorry is not going to work. I didn't mean it. Why did you say it? Do you know how it made me feel? She stared into my eyes. I looked away. Tin, a reserved person, Madhav, I have issues opening up to people. I trusted you. And you, she bit her lower lip. I just what? The stuff you said. I may not speak much Hindi, but I do understand it, Madhav, she said and turned her face sideways. Then she said as if to herself, my friends had warned me about you. I just love you, Ria. Yeah, right. Indeed, a classy way to show love. I said it in anger. Let me be clear. I have never, ever been spoken to in such a cheap manner in my life. I let you into my world. We had something together. We do. No, we don't. If you could speak to me like that, I wonder how you think of me in your mind. I wanted to be close to you. Never let you go. You said that I hi to do, Vana Katlo. Does that sound like being close? It's my useless friends, they provoked me. They said, sleep with her or else she'll never be yours. You discussed this with your friends first. Not everything but stuff like let me go fuck her today. Before I could respond, she raised a hand to silence me. I'm going to say something now. Listen carefully. Okay, she said, her voice shaky as she tried to maintain her composure. Sure. 1. Don't ever try to talk to me. 2. We are not friends anymore. I have promised my Trians and myself I will choose my friends carefully. 3. Stop hounding me, it's disturbing. I don't want to tell my parents or the college authorities. Ria, please go now, she said and folded her hands, as if pleading with me. I took one last look at her beautiful but angry and sad face, the long hair I had stroked, the lips I had kissed once, and turned around. I heard the sound of her footsteps get fainter as she walked away. 12. 6 months later. After my breakup, or half breakup, with Ria, my personality changed. People in college started to call me SSS, or the Silent Saint of Stevens. I attended every class and sat in the front row. I took notes like a court stenographer. I never asked the professor any questions. I would sit with my friends in the residences but not contribute to the conversation. Initially, they tried to cheer me up. They gave me copies of Playboy and arranged booze parties to help me get over Rhea. However, just like their earlier advice, their breakup cures were useless too. The only thing that helped somewhat was basketball. Every time I thought of her, I hit the court. 3 hours of dribbling and shooting temporarily cured my heartache, if only because it left me physically exhausted. Frankly, I went to the courts in the hope she would come to practice. She never did. Perhaps her father had built her a court in the backyard of 100 Aurangzeb Road. Sometimes I lurked in the college corridors, waiting for her class to end. I stood far away and avoided eye contact. I would watch her come out of class, only to disappear into a crowd of friends. Once she did see me. She didn't smile or turn away. She didn't even look angry. She didn't react at all. It killed me. If she had come forward and slapped me or yelled, I would have been okay. However, she looked right through me, as if I didn't exist. Nights hit me the hardest. I couldn't sleep. I lay on the same bed where I had messed it up with her. The same place where I had spoken like a Bhojpuri movie villain. I wished I had a time machine to undo my actions. I didn't want a time machine to predict the stock market or buy property cheap. I only wanted it to say that sentence. I had said it in a combined state of horniness, bravado and stupidity. Well, it is also the state in which men are most of the time. I tossed and turned. I couldn't sleep. I bounced my basketball on the room's wall back and forth until the student in the adjacent room shouted curses. I studied my course books to distract myself. I found books in the library on psychology, relationships and love. Through these I tried to figure out women. Either the English was too tough or the books gave contradictory ideas. I ended up being more confused than ever. Women like to nurture and have long-term relationships, one study said. However, I had wanted exactly that. So why did the study fail to explain this? Anything I read about women in newspapers I connected with Rhea. If an actress gave an interview saying she was moody, I nodded and felt that, yes, even Rhea was moody. I had to get this girl out of my head. I couldn't. A few months later it was my birthday. I sat with my friends in the cafeteria. As luck would have it, Rhea entered at the same time with her friends. My friends wanted to see if she would wish me. They started singing, "Happy birthday to you, Madhav," even as I cut a mince cutlet. The girls noticed but ignored us. Rhea didn't even flinch. My heart crumbled like the mince cutlet. "You're lucky. It's best such an insensitive girl is out of your life," Raman said. One afternoon, after college ended, I was sitting outside on the main lawn. Students turned their gaze to the main gate as a car entered the college. It was a beautiful car. It looked expensive even from 20 meters away. "It's a Bentley. Costs over 2 crores," a boy sitting close to me told his friend. A young man stepped out of the car. He wore shades. He walked as if he owned the college. Rhea Samani emerged from the main building and walked towards the Bentley. I stood up and walked towards the driveway. I ensured I could not be seen, not that anyone was interested in me. The man's face seemed familiar. Rhea went up to him. They hugged. I noticed the man was an inch shorter than Rhea. Rohan Shandak, the name popped into my head. What's this asshole doing here? It's amazing how quickly the mind switches from figuring out a situation to commenting on it. I had no idea why Rohan had come to college. Maybe he wanted to buy the building and turn it into a hotel. Well, that seemed unlikely as he didn't enter the building. Both of them got into the Bentley and it drove off, with Rhea's BMW tailing Rohan's car. The students in the lawns released collective oohs and ahs. "I also want a loaded boyfriend," I heard a girl near me say. "Is he her boyfriend?" I asked her. I shouldn't have, but I did. Like I'd proved earlier, my impulse control is rather weak. "How do I know?" she said and walked away. I could still smell the burning fumes from Rohan's Bentley long after he had left. Or maybe it was my burning insides. Asterisk. I had to talk to Rhea. I decided to do it during Harmony, the annual cultural festival of St. Stephen's. It would be my final attempt to rescue our friendship. The festival had various cultural competitions such as choreography, music, debates and treasure hunts. Students, including the day skis, stayed in the college until late at night. Rhea had already won the music competition in the solo English vocals category. She was also taking part in Western choreography. I took my place in the audience early, sitting in the front row facing the makeshift choreography stage on the front lawns. Boys from all over Delhi University had gatecrashed. They sat at the right vantage points to ogle at the St. Stephen's chicks. Some of these boys resembled men back home. They spoke loudly in Hindi. They whistled every time a pretty girl came on stage. Stephanians, of course, hated all this. We were way too dignified to express our lecherous feelings in such a public manner. We ogled nonetheless, but in a dignified way. A dozen girls wearing pink tights and silver grey tops came on stage. Ria, the tallest amongst them and the easiest to spot, stood in the center. Stage. Lights changed colors. A commentator spoke in a husky self-important voice. He spoke about evolution and how all life emanates from nature. It is stuff that sounds profound when you hear it but is total bullshit when you look back and think about it. Ria's lean frame, athletic body and stunning looks meant most men had their eyes on her. Of course, another girl with a massive bust had her own set of fans. As the commentator spoke his lines in a sexy voice, I rehearsed mine in my head. Ria, I think people deserve a second chance. Ria did cartwheels on stage with incredible grace. The crowd burst into applause as she did a perfect cartwheel. Inside my chest, my heart did the same. Ria, not a day, passes when I don't think of you, I said to myself. I deleted it from my mental shortlist. It sounded too keen. Girls are difficult. It is all about finding the right balance. You can neither be too pushy, nor come across as too cool to care. I suck at this fine balance. In the last act, Ria took a handheld mic and sang the two closing lines about nature and how we need to protect it. Her clear and tuneful voice earned a round of spontaneous applause. The show ended. The girls came forward to take a bow. The crowd cheered. I slipped out and then sprinted to the classroom converted into a green room. Finger combing my hair, I knocked on the door. A female student peeked out. What? I need to talk to someone. Sorry, only girls allowed inside. Is Ria Samani there? She is changing weight. I had little choice. I sat on a ledge opposite the classroom. I waited for 30 minutes. A group of girls came out, giggling for no particular reason. Ria didn't. 4 to 5 minutes later, dressed in black jeans with silver buttons and a tight black top, Ria stepped out. In a deliberate act, she took brisk steps away from me. Ria, I said. She stopped. However, she didn't turn towards me. Her hands froze, as if uncomfortable. Please, I said. She semi-turned towards me. Hi, Madhav. I stood squarely in front of her. I want to talk. 5 minutes, I said. Anything important? To me it is. 5 minutes. I'm listening. We stood in a dark corridor, facing each other stiffly, as if in confrontation. It didn't seem like the right place to talk. I saw her face. She was still the most beautiful woman in the world to me. Even though we were in the middle of what seemed like a world war, one wanted to kiss her. That is how sick the male mind is. It can forget the entire context of a situation and follow its own track. I said I'm listening, she said. I flushed out the sick thoughts front my mind. Not here. Somewhere private. Oh, really, she said. I realized it had come out all wrong. Sorry, not like that. Somewhere we can sit, face to face. And it isn't so dark. The cafe, she said. No. It's packed with the do crowd. You won't get a table. Listen, I have plans. I have to go, she said. Okay, the cafe then. Fine. We walked to the cafe. As expected, lines to enter extended all the way outside. It is crowded. Is it okay if we talk in my car, she said. I looked at her. She seemed to have calmed down a little. Yeah. The driver will be there, right? I'll send him away. Actually, let's go to the car. I need to give you something, too. 13. We walked out to her car. She handed her driver a 50 rupee note. Driver bhaiya, can you go and buy a few packets of Palji biscuits for me, please? The driver looked puzzled. Madam, we will buy it on the way. No, go now. Leave the keys. I'll wait inside. The confused driver handed the keys to Ria and left. Ria and I sat in the back seat of her BMW. A fat armrest separated us. She switched on the reading light and slipped her feet out of her shoes. Turning sideways, she leaned back against the window to face me. She tucked her feet under her legs on the seat. I sat stiffly. The BMW reminded me how out of place I was in her world. So, Ria said. You were really great on stage. and congrats on winning the English vocals. Oh, thank you. That's nice of you, Madhav, to congratulate me. Amazing show, I said, clearing my throat. Thanks. Is that all you wanted to say to me? I shook my head. I hated it when she adopted this formal tone. So let's skip the small talk. Say what you want to. I'm sorry. Have heard it a million times from you. Forgive me. I have forgiven you. I have also moved on. It's past. It's over. So, that's it. I looked into her eyes. In the dim reading light of the BMW, I could not spot any emotion on her face. I felt weak in her presence. I fought back tears. I want us to be friends again, I said. Why, she said, her voice as cold as Delhi's foggy winter night. Did she miss nothing about me or what we had? Because I'll miss you, damn it. I wanted to scream at the top of my voice. Of course, I couldn't. I had lost the right to express any words, let alone any emotions, to her. I had to say something reasonable, underplaying what I felt. So I have a chance to show you I am not a jerk, I said. I'm sure you are not. I take your word for it. You don't have to show me. Ria is too clever, too smart and sometimes too icy. She left me speechless. I had a sinking feeling something was not going right. However, she touched my hand on the armrest. Her soft fingers pressed into my wrist, as if checking my pulse. Listen, Madhav, she said. I am sorry I am being this way. Cold and aloof. Her warm touch melted my resolve to keep my composure. I loved her touch, but I wished she would remove her fingers. I didn't know if I could hold back my tears anymore. Please, I said. It sounded needy. I hated myself for saying it. Madhav, I'm not angry with you anymore. It is anyway not possible for us to be friends again. I am leaving. What? I'm leaving college. What? Like quitting? She nodded. I'm dropping out. You're in the second year. You won't finish your degree. Never cared much for formal education. I looked at her, shocked. Of course, I can say that because my dad's rich. It's okay if you think that I'm a quitter. No, I didn't think that. All I'm thinking is, why? She shrugged. You're dropping out of St. Stephen's. There must be a reason. Our eyes met. Maybe it was my imagination, but, for a moment, I felt the same connection to her as I had in the past. I don't think you want to know. I do, I said. Of course I do. You will judge me. Have I ever? She kept quiet. Ria, have I ever judged you? You judged me and threw me out of your life. Madhav, please. Let's not go there. Yeah, fine. Anyway, are you still thinking about quitting or is it final? Pretty final. Why? She took a deep breath. Open the glove box. What? She pointed to the storage box below the dashboard. Puzzled, I reached over and opened it. It had 3 red cardboard boxes inside. Take one, she said. I picked up a box and sat back on my seat. The velvet-lined red box had golden leaves embossed on it. Open it. I switched on the reading light on my side of the car. I lifted the red gold lid of the box. Inside, I found a red envelope on top of a silk pouch. The card and the pouch had R&R on it. What? I said. She gestured with her eyes that I look further. I held the envelope in one hand and the pouch in the other. The pouch contained pieces of chocolate wrapped in silver paper. I put the pouch aside and opened the card. I read a couple of lines. My head swam. What? I turned to Ria. I told you, you don't want to know. I composed myself and summoned the resolve to read the full card. It went like this: Shri Vishnu Samani and Shrimati Kala Devi Samani humbly invite you to the wedding of their granddaughter So. Ria Samani, D/O Mr. Mahendra Samani and Mrs. Jayanti Samani, with Kairohan Shandak, S/O late Shri Manoj Shandak and Jamna Bai Shandak, on 25 January 2007 at 8 p.m. At the Taj Palace Hotel, Delhi. Program and RSVP details attached. Request no gifts. I didn't read the other cards in the box, which had details of the other ceremonies. I simply sat there frozen. I clutched the silk pouch like a stress ball and looked straight ahead. It happened so fast, Ria said. I remained quiet. Shock waves ran through me. Numb, I traced the golden embroidery on the pouch. A part of me can't believe it is happening, she said, to fill the awkward silence. You're getting married. I whispered, my tone unusually calm, my gaze still averted. In 2 months I smirked and turned to her. Wow, Ria. I've never faced such a dodge, even on the basketball court. What do you mean? I wanted us to be friends again. But you are leaving college. Getting married. That's life, I guess. You're 19. We'll turn 20 after the wedding, later the same year. Have you gone mad, Ria? You've lost the right to talk to me like that, she said. I'm sorry. It's fine. Madhav, it is my choice. Nobody is forcing me. I want to leave. Why? I never wanted to do this course. I don't want to be near my sexist relatives. You could finish your degree. Go abroad later to study. Why marriage? I want adventure, travel and excitement. Rohan promises all that. Are you sure? Yeah. He's crazy. He keeps me entertained. He's also well settled. What's wrong with marrying him? He's rich. So? Is that his only flaw? So am I. Not a flaw. Just an observation. He couldn't wait for you to finish college. He wants you to drop out. Well, he doesn't care either way. It's his family. They want him to get married soon. My parents don't want to risk losing a match like him, too. Ria, nobody drops out of college like this. People abroad do it all the time. Not in India. Oh, come on. Most of India needs a degree to get a job and make a living. I don't need that, right? She wasn't wrong. Losers like me need to study, else we have no future. People who are born at 100 Aurangzeb Road can do whatever they want in life. Even Rohan joined an MBA and never finished it. Is Rohan your boyfriend? Well, he will be my husband, Ria said. That's not what I asked. We are getting closer. Of course, I always called him Rohan Bhaiya when I was growing up, so it's an adjustment, she said. She laughed at her own joke. I wished someone had strangled Rohan at the Bhaiya stage. That bastard had seemed like trouble right from Ria's party. I wanted to say something sensible. I wanted to turn the tide even somewhat in my favor. Of course, God had not given me the brains to do so. Neither was my timing right. A girl giving you her wedding card is basically like a giant game over sign flashing in a video game. It is not the time to say you want her back. Or that you love her more than anything else on earth. I wondered if I should act supportive. I wondered if I should ask her about the preparations, or if she needed any help. I stopped myself. I could not sink that low. The situation reminded me of what my friends used to tell me. I was indeed a toy. I felt like Woody from the movie Toy Story. In the film, Woody, a neglected toy, cries alone because his owner grows up and no longer plays with him. Say something, she said. You bloody bitch, my impulsive mind suggested. I controlled myself. Please don't do this. I love you so much, said the emotional side of my mind. I realized my head was a mess right now. Given my track record, saying anything would only mean regretting it later. What do I say? Surprised. Shocked. I don't know. People normally say congratulations. Yeah, I said, but didn't congratulate her. I hope we can move past whatever happened. We can, right, she said. I nodded. You will come. Where? The wedding. I just invited you. I wanted to throw her over the top wedding invitation box cum card at her. Let's see, I said. I patted myself mentally. I had responded with more dignity than I thought I had. Go fuck yourself would have been a more natural response. Please do come, she said. Are you sure you're doing the right thing? I managed to say one more time. I'm following my heart. That's usually doing the right thing, right? I don't know. Sometimes following your heart leads you nowhere. I looked at her to see if she understood my sly comment. She did, and gave a wry smile. I am sorry, Madhav, if I hurt you. I nodded to reassure her that hurting me was no big deal. Pretty girls have the right to hurt men. I found it hard to breathe. I switched off the reading light. That way, in case I started crying, my tears would not be visible. I heard a knock on the car's door. The driver was back. Here, madam, the driver said. He handed her 4 packets of Palji. She passed the biscuits to me. Please take them for Rudra. I'm addicted to these. If I keep them in the car, I'll eat them all. You asked him to get it. Only so he would leave us alone. I kept the packets, my consolation prize. Rohan gets Ria. Madhav gets biscuits. I opened the car door and stepped out. She stepped out from her side and walked up to me. Bye, she said. Bye, Ria, I said. It was hard to hold back my tears forever. I wanted her to leave. Hey, you forgot something, she said. What? I said. Your card. She reached into the car and handed me the evil red box once again, with the cards and the chocolates. I somehow managed to hold everything along with the biscuit packets. Oh, thanks, I said. I wondered where the nearest dustbin was. Take care then, she said, and came forward for a basic goodbye hug. I stepped back. I didn't want any more fake hugs. She understood my hesitation and withdrew with grace. She smiled at me one last time and slid into her car. The BMW slipped away with its silent elegance, as if nothing had happened. The car took a left turn from Hindu College and was soon out of sight. I sat down on the road. The red box and its contents lay around me, almost like hardened blood. I cried. The desolate campus road meant nobody could see me. I let it all flow out. Months of pain condensed into tears. A car passed by. I probably looked like a deli beggar, complete with biscuit packets around me. After a while, I collected everything from the road and stood up. I walked up to the dustbin outside the main gate of the college. I removed the chocolates and biscuits and stuffed them in my pocket. I threw away everything else. Even though I was in pain, I remembered the golden rule: if you live in a hostel, never throw away food. 14. 1 year and 3 months later. So tell us why you're here, said a 30-year-old man. He wore a red tie and a crisp white shirt. I was at HSBC's placement interview, facing a panel of 3 bankers. Each wore a pained and bored expression. They had heard over 40 Stephanians talk nonsense about their greatness. Each candidate had solved all the problems India faced, redesigned the bank's strategy and promised to work harder than apartheid-era slaves. Why do companies bother with such interviews? Perhaps it makes them feel better to talk about the problems of the world, even though the actual job involves sitting at a desk and punching formulas into spreadsheets. I had no answer for my panel. I didn't know why I had applied to them, or for any job at all. I hated Delhi. I flash back to my college life. Yes, I'd loved it when I had first joined college. The first year had gone by so quickly it had felt like a vacation. The second year was painful, with Ria breaking up with me. However, she was at it asked around. I could steal a glance at her every now and then, be rejected every couple of months and still remember the good times. I had something then that keeps people going during the worst times: hope. I dreamt Ria would come around one day. She would realize I was her perfect partner, in terms of height, basketball, mental connect, how hours felt like minutes when we were together and how little we cared about the rest of the world. She never did. She slapped a wedding card on me and left. My Bihari gang had made me swear on my mother I would never contact her again. I didn't. She quit college in a couple of weeks. She had a lavish wedding, Stephanians who attended it said afterwards. I'm sure Rohan spent the college's entire annual budget on the wedding reception. I overheard that Ria had gone to Bora Bora for her honeymoon. The name of the place sounded like it was in Bihar. However, I googled it and discovered it was a set of beautiful islands in the Pacific Ocean, some reachable only by private plane. Which ruled out me going there and murdering the groom. However, the pain of the second year felt like a tickle compared to the third year. Third year sucked. I had zero ability to get over her. I couldn't believe a girl who had left me a year ago had such a grip on me. We had not even slept together. However, it mattered little. She was the only girl I had played, walked, eaten, talked, studied and had fun with. I had peeked into silent Ria more than anyone else, or so I thought. How could I forget her? Well, I could not forget her from 2 years ago, but I had forgotten the interview room one had entered 2 minutes ago. I said, "What brings you here?" The interviewer repeated and sipped from his bottle of water. "Yes, sir. I am here because," I fumbled to remember the company's name, "because HSBC is a dynamic place to work in and I want to be a part of it." Given my cut-paste answer, I thought he would splash his water on my face. However, he didn't. "Madhavjo, right," said another member of the panel, reading my resume. "State-level basketball, impressive. Shortlisted for national team trials last year. Did you make it?" "No, sir." "Why not?" I hesitated for a second and then gave my answer. "I didn't go for the trials." Basketball reminded me of her. After she left, I never went to the court. Why, all 3 of them asked together. I couldn't. I was under stress. What kind of stress, said the first interviewer. Personal. The other interviewers cleared their throat. They nodded their heads at each other, communicating the need to skip that question. Why do you want to do banking? The third panelist said. Because that is what you want me to do. Excuse me. The panelist blinked. Well, I need a job. Yours is one of those available. And you pay well. So yes, I'll do whatever you want me to. You don't have a preference? Not really. I don't know what made me talk like this. Perhaps it was the fact that I had given 8 interviews over the past 2 weeks and I had lied in every one of them. I had finally had enough. I didn't want to be in Delhi anymore. I missed my mother. I wanted to call her right now. Madhav, do you want this job? The first panelist said. What's your name, sir? I asked instead. Shukla. I am Pramod Shukla. Regional Manager for North India. Mr. Shukla, are you happy? Excuse me. You don't look happy. None of you look happy. Nobody wants this job. Everyone wants the money you offer. You see the difference. The panelists looked at each other. If I had a camera, the picture of their priceless expressions could have won any photography competition. I like you. The first honest candidate we have had. I will hire you, Pramod said. The other two looked shocked. However, they were too junior to counter the boss's whim. But I don't want it, I said and stood up. Why? Pramod said. Private banking in Delhi. Top clients. 6 lakhs a year. No, sir. I am done serving rich people, I said and left the room. Asterisk as I walked back to my residence after the interview, for the first time in a year, I felt respect for myself. I decided not to be a doormat anymore. I decided to stop moping over a rich girl who had left me. I had had enough of Stevens and trying to be upper class. You belong to Dumron in Bihar. That is who you are, Madhavji, I told myself, and that is all you will ever be and need to be. I called my mother. How are the interviews going? She said. One company offered me a job. Who? HSBC. What do they do? Bank. They have a branch in Patna. I laughed. No, it is an international bank. The job is in Delhi, I said. Oh, my mother said and her voice dropped. You will have to be there then. I said no. What? She said, surprised. I didn't want the job. My heart is not here anymore. Where is your heart? My mother chuckled. London, said a voice in my head. Dumron. I'm coming back home. I could sense the wide smile on her face through the phone. You'll come back to Dumron. After finishing Stevens College, she said, her voice bright. Yes. It is my home, after all. Of course. Everyone keeps asking about you. Where is our prince, the Rajkumar? Please, Ma, I hope all that nonsense won't start there. What do you mean, nonsense? You are the Prince of Dumron. People want to do your Rajyabhishek ceremony. Ma. I don't like such traditions. Royalty is dead in India. It's just a way they express love. We know, and they know, we don't have power. But we help keep the community together. You shouldn't shrug it off anyway. I arrive in 3 weeks. I need to find something to do there. You can help with the school. You are running it well. For how long? Plus, there are so many issues I can't solve at this age. Should I focus on the teaching or repair the roof? From teachers on one side to laborers on the other, everyone needs my head. I laughed. I'll take care of the roof and any upkeep issues. You run the school. Really? Yes, Ma. How much would it have paid you? The job you left. Let it be, Ma. How does it matter now? Tell me. 50,000. A year. A month. My mother gasped so loudly my eardrum hurt. You really refused that job to come and help in a village school? Yes, Ma. I told you. I'm booking a ticket on the Magad Express. See you in 3 weeks. I know what made you do this. My heart stopped. What? Your royal blood. You are different. You deserve to be a prince. Prince has to go. Doesn't have balance in his prepaid phone. My mother laughed as I hung up. Most Indian mothers would slap a child if he left a high-paying job like that. My mother wouldn't. She knew life involved things greater than money. She had seen the lavish life. She had also seen her wedding jewels pawned to loan sharks. None of this mattered. What mattered to my mother, the Rani Sabha of Dumron, was respect. Beyond a point, People want money to buy respect, she would tell me when I was a kid. Respect, however, can't be bought. You have to earn it. Live with dignity. Live for others, that is how one earns respect. She used to say she was right. Dumron's people loved her. Not because she was the Rani Saba, but because she was the Rani Saba who cared. For the past 15 years, she had given her all to the Dumron Royal School in Nandan village, on the outskirts of Dumron. I felt homesick. The dusty lanes of Dumron felt more enticing than the colonial lawns of St. Stephen's. I couldn't wait to be home. Thank you all for listening. Please do share, subscribe our channel for more videos. Do like and comment your views on our video. Thank you.